I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Robert Hutchings. I'll be chairing the hearing today. I'm joined on the panel by Mr. Clay Purvis and Ms. Valerie Wern. And representing the Assessment Department, City of Winnipeg, is Ms. Svetlana Shabel, and our administrative personnel today is Ms. Belen Rojo. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted to the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave this meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by this Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with this Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questioning again. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and it make its decisions based on the evidence presented here today. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed and recorded and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 2 through 8 today. Ms. Rojo, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Please state your full name.
Svetlana Shabel.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Lyle Rack.
You affirm the evidence you're about to present at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon to both parties. First item on the docket is item number 26-3178, roll number 609-1100300, with dealing with a 2027 Realty Appeal Assessment. Address is 20 St. Mary's Road. Excuse me. Ms. Shabel, the panel notes that you have a request non-cooperation penalty on this subject property. Please read in the subject property's details only, and then we'll proceed with the non-cooperation request.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. File number 26-3178, roll number 060911000300. Edit says 2027 years, with reference date 2025 at 1,340,000. but we have preliminary issue. The assessor request that the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for not cooperation. Section 53, 3P of the Municipal Assessment Act. And if reduction in assessment is ordered, that it follows section 54, 3.2 of Municipal Assessment Act. We did send a request for income expense mailer questionnaire on April 8, 2025.
Ms. Shable, could you tell me what page you're reading from?
It's on my second page, but letters, I will show which letters. My letter what we sent on page 16 of PDF file.
Thank you.
So we sent letters for information, request for information, April 8, 2025. With income expense mailer in the row, what businesses in. We should receive original response by May 1st, 2025, or if extended warranty by June 30th, 2025. And this assessment taxation department is not legislatively required to send certified or second mailing to the property owner that do not respond to original request. So due to the Canada Post Labor Distribute, assessment taxation department didn't send certified mailing on 2024 income expansion questionnaire. Thank you. If any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Rack, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented regarding non-cooperation?
No, Mr. Chairman, but I have a rebuttal addressing that with information that shows that they have been compliant over the years.
Okay, in relation to this particular request, any questions?
Correct.
No.
Only one question. Only one question. I'm looking on the brief and I don't see a registered letter.
Because we, by legislation, we're not required to send second letter anymore.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Purvis, any questions of the assessor?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Ms. Warren, any questions of the assessor?
None at this time, thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Shable, is there a proof of delivery in your brief?
We don't require a proof of delivery. We sent mail by April 8, and owner can submit to us by mail, personal, by email, or online. We have 4 ways of respond to us.
Okay.
Our program, mass appraisal program, completely needed this information from the owner, how it's set up. That's why it's we have penalties that no respond to us.
Okay. So which page confirms that they never responded to the request for information?
Because we sent email, but I don't have any information that we receive it.
Okay. Okay,
I know they provide information in 2023, they missed 2024, and they provide information 2025. But for 2027 assessment role, we needed 2024 full years of information.
sure, okay, understood, okay. Mr. Rack, anything to comment on regarding this?
Just to take a look at the information I provided, that proves that they were compliant through the years on my rebuttal.
Yeah, okay. And Ms. Shable has confirmed that just now, I guess. Okay. All right. I'll give both parties a chance to comment on this request for non-cooperation briefly, and then we'll recess to discuss it within the panel. Mr. Rack or Ms. Shable, you go first, please.
I don't have questions.
No, do you have any comments, summary
No, thank you.
before? Okay, thank you. Mr. Rack, any summary at all?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have in my rebuttal evidence that basically they have, the assessment department has information only going back to 2012 and up to 2025. And in all those years, there has been a submission. And that's what's in my
Right.
rebuttal brief, that every year there's a submission except
Okay.
for 2024. And
Mhm.
basically what the management company does is there's a way to basically send financial statements through a specific link by email. And that's what the owner does, or the management company does. And for some reason, there's only 1 year missing out of all these years on both properties, and that's 2024. And I spoke to the owner, and basically the management company has confirmed they did send it in. When you're looking at all the years from 2013 to 2025, the only year that's missing is 2024. And I would propose that perhaps the assessment department has basically not put that into their system, and they didn't receive a registered letter, but they have been compliant for all the years going back records to 2013. So they've always been compliant. So
Right.
I feel that basically to miss 1 year, they shouldn't be penalized.
Okay,
And probably
All
the
right.
assessment department may have misplaced it.
okay. Okay, so Ms. Shable, in your opinion, I'll put words in your mouth here. In your opinion, the department did not receive the request for information for the
We
relevant
didn't
year.
receive, yes, didn't receive. I look into different program in our system about receiving email. They missed 2024, what we needed for this assessment.
Okay, all right, thank you. Ms. Rojo, can you ask both parties to be Ms. Shable to leave and Mr. Rack to be put in the waiting room, and we'll recess for discussion of this non-cooperation request. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Ms. Rojo, I'll now call the hearing back to order. The board has considered the evidence presented by both parties, and it is our decision to not allow the request for non-cooperation. So Ms. Shable, when you are ready, please continue on with your brief regarding the 2027 Realty Assessment Appeal.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, subject property office building, two-floor building, original built in 1987 with renovation and give us effective years built 1995. Improvement suite on land of 7,336 square feet, land area of improvement 2,438 square feet. Gross floor area 4,726 square feet, and leasable area 4,684 square feet. The subject property located in Norwood West neighborhood. On page number 2, I provide air photos with subject property located. It's on southeast of the city, is divided into by 4 corners. Subject property was sold in 2012. It's 14 years ago. On page number 3, 4, continue of air photo and street view of subject property. It's facing St. Mary Road from the west. Triangle shape of land. More photo continue on page 5 and 6. On 5, front view. On page 6, it's from the back lane.
Sorry, Ms. Scheibel, can I get you to just back up a little bit? I got booted out of the Zoom and just came back in, so
Okay.
it locked me out. I missed about the last minute.
I'm talking about photo. It's an office building, 2-floor building with effective years built 1995. Gross leasable area over 4,000 square feet. It's located in Norwood West neighborhood. On page 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, air photos and street view of subject property. We coming to page 7. I provide rent comparables for the subject property. So I have several comparables. Let's look on them. So I try to find leases, neighborhood in same corner like subject property. So my leases started from 2020 to 2024 prior to market condition April 1st, 2025. Square footage range between 1,900 square feet to 12,000 square feet. If summate all leasable area, we came across 52,637 and divide by all income, rent income from these comparables. We can estimate weighted and average $17.21 for my set of comparables. Average $17.78, median $17.96, minimum rate $13.75, and maximum $22.95. If we look on my page 8, let's look on our income estimation. We assess 4,684 square feet, overall $17.29. That give us potential rent $18,993. $18,993. For office building, suburban office building, we allowed vacancy of 6%, expenses not recoverable 3%, in shortfall $10 per square foot for vacant space. It gives us net operating income $71,039. Model generated for this building 5.3% capitalization rate, and give us estimate value of 2027 assessment $1,340,000. On page 9, income summary. On page 10, capitalization rate table. we presented this table summary of all departments. We're looking for office space. It's top left corner. We present in downtown AA, downtown A, downtown B, and suburban A and B. The subject property is suburban B of S, and 20 percentile loss range 5.2 and 80 percentile 7.05. So subject property is 5.3 inside this range. Also, we provide colors information. We can see that this type of suburban B 7.5 to 8.5, CBLE, low 7.5 to 8.5, and Cushman and Wakefield at 6.75 to 7.75 range. Following my brief. On page 11, it's a municipal assessment tax accepts. And page 12 started a photo of my comparables. On page 12, I can comparable 75 square feet, air photo and street view. On same photo and same page, 430 and 440, Dover Core Drive comparables. On page 13, 104 Scarfield Building, air photo and street view. On page 14, 414 Osborne Street, following by 440 Donald Avenue. It's on page 16 in Comics Penciler what we send it. And by the end, I provide 227 property assessment note what we sent to the owner, and following by appeal. So based on evidence in my brief, I am asking to confirm assessment of 1,314,000. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Rack, any questions on the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, I do. If you could look at your page 7 with all your comparables. I see that comparable 1 through 7 is in the Fort Garry industrial area, and the last 3 are in Riverview. And I noticed that all your properties are only 1 story, except for the last one, which is a 2-story. My question would be, I'm curious as to why you haven't submitted any comparables that would be on St. Mary's or maybe St. Anne's, which are closer to the subject than your comparables.
I try to find comparables with effective average years built close to the subject property. This OFC property usually less than 3 floors. Subject property 2 floor, but my comparables 1 floor. And you can see that first few comparables in industrial area, and they still support our rent of $17. In commercial area of Marion Street. Or not Marion Street, sorry. See. St. Mary Road.
I guess the other
And-
question I would have is, sorry,
Yeah, yes, please.
so you couldn't find any 2-story comparables except for the last one?
I was looking for something similar to subject property by aging and current leases. I didn't find, usually this type of small building, owner occupied. So we don't have leases. Completely similar to subject property.
Okay, so the other thing I want to go to is look at the cap rates. So on page 10, you have your listing of cap rates. So the city uses a computer-generated cap rate, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we both agree it's a suburban B office, and the 20th percentile is 5.2%, and the subject property is at 5.3%. Now, we've looked at Colliers that you mentioned, CBRE, and Cushman Wakefield. The bottom is, they basically run from 7.5 to 8.5. Both Colliers and CBRE agree, and Cushman Wakefield is 6.75 to 7.75. So based on that, would you not agree that 5.2% cap rate, which is almost at the 20th percentile, is too low for the subject property?
This property, small property, low risk involved, compare for cap rates. And also a location, very good location. It's inside, it showed only 60% of property between 5.2 to 7.05. And this subject property inside is 60% of properties.
That's all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rack. Ms. Byrne, any questions of the assessor?
Mine was just asked and answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions?
Yeah, it's somewhat related to the cap rates and trying to figure out the correct number for that. Looking on your page 4, Ms. Scheibel, there's an overhead, I'm assuming Google Map view of the subject property.
Mhm.
Okay. How many, do we know how many parking spots there are with this property?
It's
Because your
has,
summary says none. The picture shows the purple triangle. There's clearly a couple cars parked in it.
good point. Yeah, it has on-site parkings. It's, if we look on page 4, we can count by size of cars. Wow.
But that parking is for sure part of this property, like
Yes.
not a separate title.
No, it's a same roll number. It's rectangle, irregular shape of property in purple.
Okay.
In you're right. They have several parkings. I will look into.
Okay, and also just to confirm, it sounds like because you were alternating with suburban A or B. Is do you consider this I mean, the city's numbers don't make a difference, but would this be suburban B or is it new enough to be a suburban
It's
A?
a OFC. It's properties outside A and B.
So it would be even worse than a B.
No, it's OFC buildings. It can be suburban, and we have OFC building downtown as well. And our data for all analyzing sale divided by model generated net operating income showed that range this type of building with small square footage between 5.2 to 7.05, 60% of these properties. It's statistical data for all sales across the city.
Okay. I think that's all my questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Ms. Scheibel, I'm looking at the two rates applied, 625 square feet and then 4,4059 square feet. Can you tell me which is the second floor area?
I cannot distinguish which second floor area. but smallest area, 6,625 square feet, usually generated slightly higher rent. In this case, $18.73. But that's why I provide overall of this building, $17.29.
So does this lease or is this application only for the main floor? Or is it for part of the main floor and something on the upper? Is that right? I'm trying to figure out the split between the square footage here. Because the plan area is
No, the
24.
subject property consists from two different buildings, two-floor building and one-floor building. That's why we have two different premises.
So the plan area is 2438. The gross floor area is 4,726. Just under double the plan area. Total leasable area is 4684. So looking at the pictures, I'm just trying to figure out. You're saying there's a one-story portion?
Yeah, or it was addition done, one-story portion. I don't have this full information.
But when we look at the picture, it's all two-story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's two-story everywhere.
Oh, except for maybe that entrance on the first page, the bird's eye. Oh, it might be because there's an open second floor above the entrance. If you look at the second photo, pardon me,
Yeah,
there is a kind of a triangle shaped in the corner there facing St. Mary's Road. Possibly the second floor, if you look on the next page, has got windows. Possibly that's open to above from the main floor. Is that maybe the difference? That's the
Yes,
one
yes.
story leasehold.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chairman, you're right, because second
Okay.
building has 23
Okay, perfect.
feet
Okay, now
height. You was right. It's
Yeah.
entrance additional, built in 1995.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so now I understand. So the blended rate is 1729. Okay, that's my only question. Thanks for that clarification. Mr. Rack, please allow us to get to your brief. Mr. Rack, when you are ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The difference between the main floor and the second floor, as far as size goes, would be due to the staircase.
Okay,
So if you look at that picture and the assessor's brief of the front of the building. it's
Yeah,
at the bottom of
understood.
Page. Yeah.
Understood, Mr. Rack, yeah.
Okay, so going to my brief, if we look on page 2, you'll see that the assessment department is using $17.29 per square foot and a cap rate of 5.3%. So as you can see, the department has classified the building as an OFS, and it would be an OFS B. So you can see that the cap rates from all the other Collier, CBRE, and Cushman & Wakefield, which specialize in commercial properties, and they basically determine cap rates quite specifically. So we're looking at an average of between 7.25 on all the cap rates to 8.25. So that would be the average. So the subject is a Class B two-story walk-up. We've got CBRE and Colliers have the same cap rates. But considering the condition of the building, I will apply the lowest cap rate of 6.75%. So they are gross rents. So Chapters basically has 1875 on the main floor and 2500 on the second floor. And I believe on the first floor, there's about 625 square feet that's vacant. So they're paying a gross rent of $20 on the first, 17 on the second, and I've applied a gross rent of $25 for the smaller space. I'm looking at this building as site-specific. If someone was to purchase the building, they would be looking at these rents to determine what the building is worth. So the management company is using 5,000 square feet overall, and the building isn't that big. So I don't know where they got their numbers. They couldn't explain it to me, but basically the rents I'm using to first calculate the value is based on their numbers at 5,000 square feet. So if you look at the next page, page 4, you'll see that there are some recoveries, so some tax recoveries and some operating cost recoveries. So at 4,375 square feet, less the vacancy of 250, is we're getting basically a total of 100,008,708. If we go to 5,000 square feet full capacity, using the tax recoveries and the operating costs of the full building, we're getting 133,568. So that works out to a gross rent of $27. Now we're looking at all the expenses, and the expenses come up to $61,077.66. So there's basically $12 is non-recoverable. So we're getting a rent of $14.36 net on 5,000 square feet. So using a 6% vacancy, shortfall of $10, we're getting a cap rate at 6.75, and that comes out to a value of $925,000. If we go down to the next page, on page 5, I'm recalculating this using the assessor's square footage at 4684, which I think is more indicative of what the actual rental space is there. We're getting a rental rate of $15.32. So basically, again, applying 6% vacancy, a shortfall of $10, and a cap rate of 675, we're getting a value of $928,000 on the property. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Rack. Ms. Shable, any questions of the applicant's evidence presented?
Yes, please. This subject property has existing lease, correct?
Could you say that again, please?
The subject property occupied by tenants. Yes or no?
I'm having a hard time understanding. I can't understand what the question you're asking me, sorry.
The subject property in your evidence, it's a lease, not owner occupied, correct?
That's correct, it's leased.
You're using market rent, but you didn't provide any support evidence for market rent, don't you?
I'm using the actual leases in place.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions of the applicant?
I don't think I have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Warren, any questions?
Oh, sir, thank you. None.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rack, just to clarify, is this subject property owner occupied or is it leased?
It's leased. The owner used to occupy the second floor. That would be Ardent Financial, but they've vacated, and basically it's all leased out, except for that vacant space.
And we have a relevant lease rate on the property?
The relevant lease rate is basically 1436 on 5,000 square feet, which would be what the management company is using. I'm thinking more that the leasable square footage is 4684, which is on my page 5. And that would be 1533 a square foot. Or 1533 a square foot.
Okay. And that's the net lease, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Looking on your page 3, the chapters comparison. Could you, first of all, where is that chapters located?
Well, those chapters is in the building.
Chapters is in the building.
That's the tenant, it's a
Yeah,
company,
page,
it's not the bookstore.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
no, chapters is actually a real estate company. Funny,
okay.
they're a real estate company.
There we go. Okay. Now it's starting to make sense
So those
here.
are the-
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the two tenants in the building. Or there's one tenant in the building that took over the first and the second floor at the rates indicated. So yeah, I guess, yeah, it's kind of funny chapters. No, those are actually tenants in the building.
Okay.
Like if you go down, you know what, if you go down to page 5 at the bottom, I guess I shouldn't have put chapters. It's called Chapter Real Estate Inc.
Okay.
So that's the
Thank you.
rental.
Okay.
My mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It seemed like an odd comparison. How's that? But it turns out it's the subject. Okay. Thank you for that. My last one is on page 5. No, page 4. It's the cap rate. Now, can you, why do you ignore the city's range there? Like, why do you just pick the 3 commercial companies for the cap rate analysis?
Well, even in the assessor's brief, you'll see that it states that the industry cap rates are supposed to support the computer-generated department's cap rate. And you've got
Okay.
3 companies that basically specialize in cap rates because they sell and they invest into property, they sell property, they purchase property for people, and they're basically, they spend an awful long time, a lot of time developing a cap rate because they don't have a too low a cap rate, they want too high a cap rate. So I'm looking at Collier, CBRE, and Cushman & Wakefield, and they all agree. 3 companies that do that for a living agree that the cap rate is higher, and cap rates have gone up this cycle opposed to the last cycle.
Mhm.
So I think they're more indicative of market. That's what they do. I mean, the real estate companies.
Now, is there
And the
a,
cities,
do you think there's an adjustment for the age, the newer age of the subject property?
actually, the cap rates that these companies develop are on their best buildings. I mean, Mr. Neufeld, Rocky Neufeld, basically spoke many times at the board saying that they don't use older buildings, they use newer buildings because older buildings would distort the cap rates. So they basically use good buildings when they come up with these cap rates.
Okay. All right. So to confirm, your estimated market value is your workup on
928.
page. Your workup on page 5, right?
5. Yes.
Vacancy expenses 3%, shortfall $10. But okay. So potential income 71,000, net income 62,659. Okay. And then of course we have the big difference at 6.75%. Okay. You're requesting an adjustment to $928,000. Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Rack. Any requirement for summary, Ms. Shable?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Rack, any requirement for summary?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That concludes item number 2, file number 26-3176. Next item on the docket is item number 3, file number 26-3181, roll number 13060736100, dealing with a 2027 Realty Assessment Appeal. Address is 179 McDermott. And Ms. Shable, just bear with me 1 second, please. Okay, and when you are ready, Ms. Shable, 179 McDermott Avenue.
Thank you, Chairman. File number 26-3181, roll number 13036073610. Address is 179 McDermott Avenue. We did assess 2027 years physical condition with market condition April 1st, 2025 at 1,245,000. The subject property is office building, 3-story building, located in Exchange District neighborhood, original built in 1902, with effective years built 1990. Land area 2,607 square feet, plan area of improvements 2,250 square feet. Gross floor area, no basement. Gross floor area 6,750 square feet, and leasable area 5,330 square feet. On page number 2, request for income information. We did receive the information May 21, 2025, and this company asked for extension, but they submit. This building, this subject property sale history showed 2001, now 2025 market condition. On page 2, we can see a red dot on map of the city. It's located in downtown. More air photo and street view following on page 3, 4. Rectangle shape of building. It's a 3-floor building on page number 5. Old building built in 1901. On page number 6, set of comparables to support rent in this building. I have comparables at the legislation neighborhood, so Portage neighborhood. All comparables. My last comparable, 230 Main Street was built in 1883, 1884. Two youngest comparables of Kennedy, 183 Kennedy, 1985. All my comparables, 1, 2, 3-floor building, subject property 3-floor building. And lease started size 2020 to 2024 in range, close to 2025 economic condition of market we're looking into. Square footage of area with lowest 240 square feet and biggest 6,200. So if we summary all this total area 19,030 square feet give us a weighted average $15.49 for all my comparables. This average $14.96, median $14.96, $90 minimum $13 and maximum $17.35. On following page 7, income estimation of subject property. And if you look on bottom on total, we assess 5,330 square feet at overall $19.53. That gives us potential rent $104,000 117. For Class C old building, we warrant 13% of vacancy, 3% expenses not recoverable, in shortfall $10 per square foot for empty space, give us net operating income of 80,936. Model generates 6.5% capitalization rate, that estimate value $1,245,000. Page 8 summary of this estimation. On page 9, same capitalization rate summary. So it's Class C building, it's not downtown C, it's not on chart because it's not provided by Collier CBRE in Cushman Wakefield. But downtown property, our data showed between low 6.4% to 7.75%. So subject property inside this range. My comparables, air photos and street view on page 11. I have 226 Osborne Street North, 219 Fort Street. You can see Fort Street very similar, look like subject property, also 3-floor building. No, 2-floor building, but very high ceilings. On page 13, 183 Kennedy Street, it's 2-floor building. On 14 page of PDF file, 230, 232 Main Street, it's 3-floor building, historical building. It's following on page 15 with income expenses mailer provided to us. Page 15, 16, and wrapping by 2027 property assessment note in appeal. Based of my evidence, subject property 2027 physical condition and market condition April 1st, 2025. Estimate at $1,245,000. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Rock, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes. If you go to your comparables on page 6, we've got 4 at 226 Osborne Street. Do you know which of those 4 comparables are on the main floor and which would be on the second floor?
My first comparables, units 200, it will be second floor at $17.35. Comparable number 2, units number 10, it's in basement. Comparable number 3, units 204, it's second floor. 2026 unit 30, it's basement. 219 Fort, it's main floor. Kennedy, second floor. 183 Kennedy, Main Street. 230 to 32, second floor. I try to find leases between 2020 2024 current.
Okay, if we look at page 7, is you're using a average rent of $19.53. Your comparables, your average of your comparables is basically $15.49. And you've got a couple of small comparables at 226 Osborne, 753 square feet at $15 and 459 square feet at $14. Do you not think that the rent of basically $19.53 a square foot is high for the subject property?
This model generated because very small units usually has a higher rent. What model generate?
Okay, so we've got on page 7, you're listing a model generated rent for the second. I'll go down and you've got the first one at 135 square feet. Then you have 860 square feet at 1870. You've got 1120 square feet at 1829. Then if we go farther down, we've got 860 square feet at 1870, and then another 815 square feet at 1878. Your comparables for those sizes are much lower. So you're just you haven't really analyzed this to any great degree, but you're just basically relying on the model generated rents, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we go down to page 11, showing 226 Osborne, the subject property has no parking, but wouldn't you agree that 226 Osborne has a lot of parking?
Yes, it has parking, correct.
And the subject property was built in 1902. So if you look at the front picture of that building, would you not agree that that building is superior to the subject property?
Correct. Closest
And
to
that
the subject property will be 232 to 30 Main Street. It's a very old building, 3 floor, like subject property. This small, yeah.
And that 226 Osborne Street, that's opposite Memorial Park, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's go farther down and look at 219 Fort. On your comparables, that's supposed to be a 1-story building. I think you've got, well, I don't think, I know you have the wrong picture here because that's the Gary Street Parkade that's beside that building. So this is an incorrect picture. This is actually on Gary Street. 219 Fort is actually a 1-story building. Would you agree? Because in your comparables on page 6, it says 219 Fort
94.
Street is 1-story.
Wrong picture.
Yeah, if you look at your comparables on page 6, 219 Fort Street is you have as a 1-story building, and this isn't a 1-story building. It's actually on Gary. It's beside Gary Street Parkade. Mistakes happen. I'm just pointing it out that that's the wrong
Yeah,
building.
it's wrong. Okay, possible. I'm checking right now.
And if we look at your Kennedy Street.
Yeah, you're right. It's wrong
property, that's-
picture. Sorry.
That's all right. Then if we look at 183 Kennedy Street, that was built in 1985. The subject was built in 1902. So would you agree that's a superior building at 183 Kennedy Street?
Yes.
And let's go down to the last comparable, which is your 230 and 232 Main Street. And if you notice, when you give those leases for that property on page 6, the leases start in 2021. Are you aware that that building has been totally renovated and actually restored? They put a new elevator in that building. All the floors have been redone. All the woodwork's been redone, and that's a totally restored building. Are you aware of that?
Yes. My lease is finished in 2024 before renovation finished, and they was rent by $13 and $15 per square foot. Right now, by April 1st, 2025, this lease is more higher after renovation.
That's all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rack. Ms. Wuren, do you have any questions of the assessor?
Most of mine were answered, but I'm just still trying to figure out the cap rate. at the 8% that the assessor has. So, Ms. Scheibel, can you just explain that to me once more, why you put the 8% cap rate?
It's model generate cap rate
Yeah.
of 6.5%. It's our model analyze all data, all sale across the city, specific for downtown. It's and divide by model generated net operating income. So it's really statistical data for all existing sale in the city. In my table, I didn't provide Class C building. It's only A and B, but we have C, D building. We try to following Collier, CBNE, and Cushman Backfield structure. They showed only A, and B. So we provide only this. Our building not inside this table.
And you
Hope I answer your question.
you did in a way. So as a panel member, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have access to that information then.
No, and I don't have specific sale to support our cap rate as well. I can present it only this table,
I see.
but
Okay.
our model analyze each sale across the city prior to reference day. So it's more statistical crunch number, how a model pick this cap rate for this type of property, for agent, for location.
Okay, and I apologize, I said 8%. I meant to say 6.5%. I apologize for that. Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that. Thank you.
Welcome.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions of the assessor?
I no longer have any questions for the assessor.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. Mr. Rack, allow us to get to your brief, please. Mr. Rack, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you go to page 2, you will see at the top that, as the assessor stated, this is an OFC building. They're using 13% vacancy. I'm going to change that. And the cap rate is 6.5%, which I believe is too low. So Class C, there are no cap rates. Studies that exist. Colliers, Cushman, and CBRE they must have a cap rate for C building, but they don't publish it. And if you look, you can see that a 6.5 cap rate is actually what is used for A building at the bottom end. So in 2023, we can see that the cap rate averages a 6.5 to 7.5 on an A and 7 to 8 on a B. So in 2025, cap rates have been increasing. Excuse me, and that's due to interest rates in the bond market. So if you look on page 3 at the top there, you'll see that Colliers is 7.5 to 8.5, CBRE is 7.5 to 8.5, and Cushman Wakefield is 6.75 to 7.75. So basically, I'm going to use a 8% cap rate, and that's based on the appraisal of the property and industry studies. I'm going to adjust the area from 5330 to 5145, which is on the income expense mailer. And I'm going to use a rent of $16, and that's based on the appraisal comparisons. And you'll see $16 basically does run in as far as net rent. The assessor has 7 comparables out of the 8. that are $16, and then below that going down to $13. So the rate at $16 is very acceptable. So I'm going to change the vacancy from 13% to 4%, which is typical of a Class B, C building. And basically change the cap rate to 8%. So using the income expense mailer for the area at $51.45, applying a rent of $16, get a potential income of $82,320. Applying that vacancy of 4%, expenses at 3%, and a 10% shortfall, and an 8% cap rate, I'm getting a value of $932,480. So if you just go from page 3 to page 4, you'll see that this is Colliers did a appraisal on the building as of June 22, 2026. And if you look at the bottom of page 4, you'll see that they determined that building's worth $1 million. That's their estimate value from their appraisal. And to come up with that number, they did extensive research on rental rates, cap rates, etc., to come up with that value. So if you go to page 5, you'll see at the bottom there that a Class B average is 1608 and a Class C weighted average is 1404. So they're using basically a Class B of 1608, $16. So they're using quite a significant rent on that property to come up with the appraisal. So they didn't really skip on the rent and go below market. So if you go to page 6, you'll see that on the size of the building, overall size at $67.50, they use $16 a square foot. And right now that building is vacant, totally 100% vacant, because Johnny G had a fire in August 2025, and they got a little bit of smoke damage, not much. It basically, from the insurance pictures I saw, was basically if you rub your fingers on the walls, you just get a little bit of soot. So the owner of the building had everybody, they relocated everybody, cleaned the building up, and now that it's vacant, they're ready to lease it out or develop it into something else. They're actually thinking of maybe developing it into a residential unit or selling it. So they got an appraisal, but it's been totally cleaned up. There wasn't any significant damage whatsoever. So if you go to page 7, you'll see all the comparables from the appraiser. I mean, you're getting stuff like even 444 St. Mary's, big glass building behind Portage and Main. I mean, at 1680. There's significant comparables to basically show that $16 is an acceptable rate. They came up with the operating expenses on the next page, on page 8, and they're looking at about $10 a square foot, which is exactly what the department's using. They came up with an overall capitalization rate. So they're looking at a direct income capitalization rate of $960 to $1,030,000. And I have some sale comparables that were basically in July 2022 at 208 Edmonton, a superior building, sold for $142.36 a square foot. And then 325 Gary, which I would say is a superior building. Like 208 Edmonton definitely is a superior building. So if you look at those sales at 6,750 square feet, you're looking at 961,000 to 850,500. So I'm going with the appraisal, and the appraisal value is $1 million from Colliers, which I think is appropriate for market value in 2025. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Rack. Ms. Shable, any questions of the applicant?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Warren, any questions of the applicant?
Mine were all answered, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rack, I'm going to go to your presentation, page 10. The I&E submitted by the property owner.
Yes,
My question is, the rental income declared is $178,500 approximately. You're using a potential rent of, oh boy, what are you using there?
$16.
$82,000.
Yes.
Can you reconcile that for me?
Sure. If you look at on rental income, you'll see that the owner has its gross.
Yes.
So basically what it was a business center. So all costs are basically included. So you got total expenses at $149,155. So the net operating income is actually only $29,404.
Okay. My next
Because
question
you'll see
is,
that,
yeah, no, okay, understood. So that's gross rental income, okay. And then yeah, okay. My next question is, you've relied heavily on an appraisal done by somebody else, is that correct?
yes, by Colliers.
Right.
So basically, I did use that. They came up with with a big list of comparables. I forget there's 19 of them there, I think, and they're all $16 and lower. So I use $16 on the property on my calculation on page 3.
Okay,
And reduce the vacancy from 13. Sorry.
I guess from experience, I'm wondering if you have authorization to use that appraisal.
Yeah, yes, I have authorization from the owner who paid for it.
But from the appraiser.
Well, once it's been published and given to the owner and the owner pays for it, it is the owner's, the owner owns that and can do whatever he wants with it. Submit it to a bank. I mean, if the assessment department requested that appraisal, they would hand it over. But once it's paid for, it's public information.
Okay.
Like if the assessment department wanted to have that appraisal, they don't have to get permission from whoever made the appraisal or came up with the value. It's public now.
Right. I guess the difficulty that we face is we don't have any ability to question it because the author is not here and you don't know the details of that appraisal. That's my only point. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. We'll judge how much weight you're going to put on it. That is all my questions. Thank you. Ms. Shable, requirement for summary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rack?
Yes, just addressing your last comment, as you see on page 5, basically a Class B weighted average is 1608. If you look on page 7, those I could very well use all those. I looked at all those comparables, so you have a whole list of comparables to prove $16. So regardless of the appraiser or who basically put this together, those numbers are still valid.
Okay.
That's my comment.
Thank you. All right. That concludes item number 3, file number 26-3181, 179 McDermott. Next item on the docket for you, Mr. Rack, I guess your last one, I believe, is item number 4, file number 26-3170, file roll number, 12093255000. We're dealing with a 2027 Realty Assessment Appeal. Address is 143 Smith Street. And I note that you've got a rebuttal filed on this one also, Mr. Rack, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, Ms. Shable, is
That's
there a
addressed-
non-compliance request here?
Yes, please.
There is a non-compliance request. Okay. Ms. Shable, if you could read just the details of the property and the record, then we'll deal with the non-compliant request, okay?
Thank you, Chairman. File number 26-3170, roll number 120-93255-000. We did assess subject property for physical condition January 1st, 2027, with economic condition April 1st, 2025, with 1,797,000. The subject properties has exempt portion of 334,000, in taxable portion 1,463,000. The assessor requests that the burden of proof be placed on applicant for not cooperation, section 53(3)(b of the Municipal Assessment Act. If a reduction in assessment is ordered, that it follows section 54(3.2) of Municipal Assessment Act. We did send in home expenses letter with request. It started on page 16 on April 8, 2025. Letter following by income expense mailer in tenants rolls. We didn't receive a reply by due date May 1st, 2025. There will no request for extension when due date would be June 30th, 2025. We didn't send second letter for request because it's not legislatively required to send certified or second mailing to property owner that do not respond to the original request. And also do the Canada Post Labor Distribute Assessment Taxation Department did not send certified mailing of 2024 income expenses questionnaire. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Rack, any questions of the assessor?
It would be the same questions of whether or not they sent out a request for information, registered letter. I mean, if you don't send out a registered letter, there's no way that the owner would know that they haven't received that information. So they always send out a registered letter, and I don't see any in the assessor's brief.
Okay, and we'll deal with your rebuttal right away, Mr. Rack. Ms. Shable, Mr. Rack, would you like to put that in a question to the assessor regarding the proof of delivery?
Sure. Do you have any proof of delivery in regards to the request for income and expense mailer by way of a registered letter that would state when it was sent and to where it was sent and who received it and signed for it?
We stopped sending the second letter, certified letter, because we don't legislatively required to send this certified letter, and to Canada Post Labor Dispute, we don't send any more certified letters, so we don't have proof. But we send to the owner, and owner usually reply to us. We receive income expense mailer for 2023, unfortunately missed 2024, and we received 2025 as well. So communication very well done both way, but we didn't receive 24 to go through our preparation for 2027 assessment. That's why penalties warrant.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Rack?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions of the assessor regarding this non-compliance?
You mentioned something about the Canada Post labor dispute and the disruptions. Were letters sent during that time, or is that when responses would have been expected to be received?
We sent only first letter on April 8, 2025. 2025, yeah. But we didn't send second letter, and we stopped sending the second letter up now.
Sorry, so the first letter was sent. I'm just looking on
April
your.
8, 2025.
Okay, and when was the labor disruption? Was after that? Like, I just don't recall.
Yes, it was during this period.
Was in April 2025? They're doing.
Yes, that's why we
I
didn't
can't remember when it was a
send
strike and when it was a lockout. They sort of both took turns, as I recall. So there was a labor dispute, and Canada Post wouldn't have been reliable in April of 2025.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also legislatively, we are not required to send second letter. It was our extra layers, but we
Sure.
still doing it.
But you didn't think that with a mail delivery dispute, like you and the department didn't feel that maybe a second letter should have gone out to.
We received because only few property we asking for penalty. Rest of our portfolio is we send back all income expense mailer to us.
Okay. I guess my question is that if you knew there was a labor dispute at Canada Post and it wasn't reliable at that time, were other efforts taken? Did you said you didn't send any registered mail? Was there, like, do you guys ever email these to people? Are people able to register to receive these by email or?
Yes, we alert people they can be received by mail, by email. We can receive in person and also online application. It's easy to access as well.
Okay, but
It
you
was
didn't
very
make any.
well communicated.
But during the labor dispute with Canada Post at this time, you didn't use any of those secondary
No,
ways.
we didn't use, but we alert people through free press everywhere that we have online email access to provide us with this information.
Okay, but it's the city's obligation to contact people. It's not the.
Yeah,
not the
we sent
taxpayer's
first letter.
obligation.
Yes, what we did.
Okay, I get. You've answered my question as much as you're willing to. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Werhan, any questions?
That was my question too, and I'm not really sure we got an answer, but I will just leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shable, maybe I misunderstood, but are you saying that not only do you send out a request via mail for the income and expense statements, do you also send an email to the registered, let's say, property manager or whatever? Did I misunderstand that?
No, we announce public that we can receive income expenses mail by email as well in online.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and if you don't want to answer it, it's okay. Are you authorized to say that the department's position is to not have registered letters mailed out anymore?
Yes.
That's the department's position, no registered letters sent
Yes.
out. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, Mr. Rack, you had a rebuttal regarding, I suspect, the history of compliance. Would you like to go through that?
Yes, it's the same, it's in the same document as the first one on 20 St. Mary's. And if you look, you'll see the department doesn't go any further back than about 13 years. That's as far as they go back, because I've looked through many of my properties and just to check that out. And that's about as far as it's back that they'll keep information online. So if you look, you'll see that from 2013 to 2025, The owner has been compliant, that the management company has sent in the income expense mailer all those years. So for some reason, in 2024, and they were sent in by a portal that basically accepts the profit and loss statements or financial statements of the building. So I'm of the opinion that the department didn't enter that information correctly, and that therefore it's been missed and not put in the system. And I've seen that with other properties that I've had in previous years where the department has missed the information and then later they found it. So I would say that on 13 years for having 1 year missing, and it goes beyond 13 years, that to have a penalty of non-compliance is not reasonable. And I'm asking that non-compliance not be granted for this property.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rack. Okay, we've heard presentations from both parties regarding this non-compliance request. Ms. Rojo, would you put us in camera, please, and dismiss both participants while we discuss the issue? Ms. Rojo, I will now call the hearing back to order. It is the panel's decision that we request for non-compliance not be granted. Ms. Rojo, when you are ready, please, we have your brief up. 147 Smith Street. 143 Smith Street, pardon me.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, do you mean Madam Assessor?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I start it? Thank you. File number 26-3170, roll number 12093255000. We did assess 2027 physical condition of the building and with market condition at April 1st, 2025 at 1,793,000. With exempt portion of 334,000 and taxable portion 1,463,000. The subject property is office building, 2-floor building, original built in 1907. Innovation, extension, renovation was done, so effective years built now 1974. The subject property located South Portridge neighborhood, has land area of 6,022 square feet, land area of improvement for 4,935 square feet, same basement area 4,935 square feet, gross floor area 14,085 square feet, and leasable area of 11,699 square feet. On page number 2, information about request for information, income information we received for 2023 in April 19, 2024. I posted a subject sale history in 2006. Property was sale 1.6 million. Considered but sale for 832,500. On page 3, air photo and street view of subject property. It's located in downtown, rectangle shape of building and land. More photo following on page, street view on page number 5. It's 2-floor building with basement. On page number 6, I provided a set of comparable for subject property rent. It's 226 Osborne Street North, 219 4th Street, 183 Kennedy Street, and 230 to 32 Main Street. It's similar for previous building, so our weighted and average $15.49 with average all leases net per square foot $14 $14.96, media $14.90. On page number 7 and 8, two income stream for taxable portion and exempt portion. Taxable portion, it's 8,000, we assess 8,289 square feet at overall $12.72, give us potential rent $105,453. For this type of building, downtown UFC building, 11% vacancy loss warrant, 3% not recoverable expenses, and shortfall $10 per square foot. Give a net operating income of $81,990. Model generated capitalization rate 5.6%. Give us estimation of taxable part $1,463,000. On page number 8, taxable exemption portion of 3,410 square feet at $7.63. It's exemption located in basement. Potential rent $26,018. We have vacancy loss 11%. Same expenses 3%. Shortfall $10 per square foot for vacant space. Give us net operating income $18,710. Model generated 5.6% capitalization rate. So estimated value of the exempt portion $334,000. On page number 9, income summary, you can see two different streams. We have estimated market value of $1,797,000. It's following by page 10, capitalization rate table. It's OFC building between 5.2 to 7.05 in our table, 20 and 80 percentile. Followed by Collier, CBRE, and Cushman, Wakefield, Pay. On page 11, municipal assessment tax accepts. And page 12, my comparables, 226 Old West Street North, followed by 219 Fort. It will be one floor building, quote not correct. 183 Kennedy Street. And my last comparable to 32 Main Street. On page 16, income expense mailer request, following on page 19 with 2027 property assessment, and wrapping by appeal. Based of evidence, if my brief, as a subject property as the 2027 assessed value of $1,797,000, with exempt portion of $334,000 and taxable portion $1,463,000 should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Rack, any questions of the assessor?
Well, we've gone through the comparables in the other brief, and we've talked about cap rates before, so I will say I have no questions.
You know what, Mr. Rack, this is a separate appeal. Would you like to summarize your point, your questions perhaps for the record?
In way of a summarization?
Well, it's a separate appeal, right? We can't take information from the last two appeals. So I would like you to ask a question about the cap rate and the other comment that you would ask about.
All right. So on page 8, you're using a cap rate of 5.6%. Excuse me. And if we compare that, so that 5.6%, that was developed by the computer, correct?
Correct, model generated, correct.
Model generated. Okay, so if we go to page 10,
You know what, Mr. Rack, I misspoke. You can have no questions of the assessor, and you can make your presentation in your opinion of why her presentation is wrong. How's that? We'll just leave it at that. I apologize.
okay, so do you want me to go over this information on my summary?
No, when you make your own presentation, you're obviously going to challenge her, rebut her information. So we'll leave it at that, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Mr. Purvis, any questions of the assessor?
I don't have any questions, no.
Thank you. Ms. Warren?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions of the assessor either. Mr. Rack, bear with us, and we'll get to your brief, please. Mr. Rack, when you're ready, 143 South Smith Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as it's stated in the assessor's brief, this building was actually built in 1907. And the only reason why there is some effective year is because there's windows, maybe a roof or something like that was done. I've been in the building. It's pretty well just a basic bare bones building. So if we go to page 2, you'll see the breakdown that the assessor has shown for the exempt portion and the taxable portion. You go to page 3, you'll see there's a municipal board certificate for 2023 and 2025. So for 2023, it went from $1,899,000 to $1,436,000. In 2025, it went from $2,070,000 to $1,345,000. I wanted less in both years. As you all know, is basically when you're negotiating, you'll accept a higher valuation than what you were seeking at the board in the sake of moving in both directions and settling the appeal. So I wanted quite a lot less than $1,345,000, but we settled it out. So now the department's looking at a $452,000 increase in 2 years. The value of this property hasn't increased, it's actually decreased just on the cap rate alone. This building basically suffers from chronic vacancy of 33%, 35% for years. One place, like the second floor will be vacant, then they rent out the second floor and the main floor goes vacant. It's always been that way. It's the demand for that space is very low, and the owner has a hard time renting that space. And because of that, the rents are lower. So if we go to page 4, again, the department's rate of 5.6% is typical of a residential apartment building, not a Class B or OFS office. And the department thinks of this as an OFS office. So we're looking at an average on page 4 from the 3 companies, Colliers, CBRE, and Cushman Wakefield. We're getting an average from the low to high of 7.25 to 8.25. That's an average of a Class B. This would be a Class C building for sure. So we're looking at the subject age and vacancy problems. I'm going to apply an average cap rate of 7.75 in between those two, because of the problems of vacancy and potential rents. So for the department's potential income of $136,580 on page 4, or 1124 square foot. The actual with vacant space is $112,530. So we go to page 5. That's going back to 2020. That's 6 years of vacancy at 35%. And presently in 2025, it was the main floor that was vacant. I'm going to apply 15% vacancy. Typically, I'm being very generous at 15%. Typically for that many years, it should be about 20%. The department will go as high as 25%. So I'm increasing the vacancy to 15% for my calculation. So it's not in order, but I'll come back to page 5, but let's go to page 6. So at the top of page 6, you'll see the main is vacant. I'm using a gross rent of $17 per square foot. The second floor is rented at $16 a foot, and the basement is rented at $14.66 a square foot, all gross. The overall expenses for the building are $645. So I'm going to use $645 as actual the shortfall rate and not what the department's using. So you're basically getting a net rent of $1105 for the main that's vacant, $936 for the second, and $821 for the basement. So that gives you a total income of $112,532. So just below that, you'll see the expenses are $645. Department shortfall is $10. The basement is exempt. So we go back up page 5. Underneath vacancy, we'll apply 15% vacancy. So you're looking at $175,510 estimated gross income from the top of page 6. CAM recoveries on the basement, tax recoveries on the basement. So you're looking at $187,984. So you add up all the expenses, and you're getting total expenses of $75,454. That comes with potential income of $112,530. So now we have to break out the basement. The basement is a gross rent, but there are some CAM recoveries. The basement rent is $37,510. CAM recoveries $2109. The tax recovery is $10,365 for a total of $49,984. That's, to look at that, we can just say that they're getting, the owner's getting $14.66 gross for that space, because they're not recovering all the CAM and all the tax recoveries. So we're looking at the space is basically $14.66 a square foot gross. You take off the non-recoverable expenses at $845, you get a net income of $821. So that's highlighted at $821, and then if you just go below that on page 6, you'll see $821, and you'll see bold at $14.66 gross rent. So I've tried to put it all together in one cohesive estimate of value. So we got a net per year of $112,532. If we break that down for the taxable on the basement, we're getting the main floor, still on page 6, is 8,289 square feet. And that's at $10.20 for the main floor and the second floor. So we got a potential income of $84,536, 15% vacancy, 3% expenses, and reducing the shortfall from $10 to $645, and using a cap rate of $775, which is well in line with the industry standards and the fact that it's got 35% vacancy for the last 6 years. That's acceptable. So now we got the basement portion. So the basement portion is $3,410. The rent is $821. Again, 15% vacancy, 3% expenses, $645 for the shortfall. Cap rate is $775. We get $255,000. So the $255,000 plus the $795,875 gives a value of $1,051,000. And that is indicative of the lower rents in that building because it was built in 1908. And the fact that it's got 35% vacancy, for basically the last 7 years. And before that, the vacancy even goes beyond that. So the building, because of the age and the condition inside of it, is extremely hard to rent. And that has to be reflected some way. So I reflected it in slightly higher vacancy. And of course, the cap rate, which is basically the average of the industry standards. And that's my presentation. Oh, would you like, Mr. Chairman, me now to address the assessor's brief, or should I do that in summation?
No, I think you've covered it. That's your opinion of what it should be. And, you've come up with the different valuation parameters. So no, that's good. I'll let Ms. Shable ask questions, then we'll get clarification after that. Ms. Shable, any questions of the applicant's
Yes, please.
evidence?
Let's open page 8 of agent brief.
Did you say page 8?
8. It's a profit and loss property 143 Smith, full 2024 income expense mailer, what we was missing. Let's look how property actual perform. We can see that income $103,510. It's my question, building full occupied or not to generate this rent? Do we have vacancy in the building?
The building isn't fully occupied right now. Right now, on page 5, you'll see that the main floor of 4,115 square feet are vacant. And the calculation that I provided, if you look on page 6 at the top, is the vacant main floor is I come up with a net rent of $1,105 on the main, $936 on the second, and $821 on the basement. So I've calculated the value as if the building was totally occupied.
Totally occupied, but this 103,000, it's not full occupied building rent, correct?
Say that again?
Okay, let's open page 10. We can see it's same income expense mailer for 2024. On the page 10, on top, we can see that main floor completely empty. In your opinion?
Yes, the main.
And second floor rent for $5,500 per month. In your opinion, main floor will be rent for same amount or higher?
Well, first of all, those rents are gross. And if you look at my page 6, is I'm using a higher rent. I'm using $17 on the main floor gross and $16 on the second floor gross and $14.66 in the basement. So I'm using a higher rent on the main floor because it would demand a higher rent.
But if you look on page number 7, they showed separate net income, rental property income plus camera recovery income. So 103,510, it's net lease for a second floor and basement. My question, second floor and main floor will be have same rent or different in this building?
Well, I've just explained that on page 6.
I will looking on page 10, please, in actual what's happened with the building.
Well, on page 10, the main floor is vacant.
Yes. In your opinion, rent for main floor will be similar to second floor or higher?
Higher.
How much you assumption?
I have it at $1 a square foot because it's a walk-up building.
Okay. We can see that second floor rent for $5,500 per month for 4,174 square feet. If you apply same amount for main floor, let's summary, 500 for main floor plus 500 for second floor plus basement, they rent for $3,125. We came across monthly, collected $14,125. If we multiply by 12, net income for this full occupied building because vacancy applied, 169,500. So 117,000 roughly. It's net income. If we divide by
So
square footage, 11,699. So net rent for this actual for subject property potential without vacancy, $14.50. You would agree with me?
That's incorrect. If you go to page 11 at the bottom, you'll see the income and expense mailer is checked off as gross. If you go to page 12, you'll see the income and expense mailer is checked off as gross. These are all gross rents. And the only way to determine the total net rent is to go through the entire income and expense listing from their profit and loss. And that breakdown
What
from
we're
the
doing
profit
right
and loss,
now?
the breakdown from the profit and loss is on page 5. It shows you basically the total expenses at 75,000 and the total gross income at 175,000. Plus the recoveries gets 187,984, and then you take off the expenses at 75,454. It's a potential income of 112,530. So those rents that are on the income expense mailer are gross rents as indicated by the 2022 and the 2021. And if you look through the profit and loss statement and go through all those numbers, you'll see at the very bottom of the profit and loss statement, they have it on page 9, they have a net income overall of minus negative 32,352, but that includes mortgage payments, which don't count.
But on page number 8, profit and loss, you can see that net rent and recovery operating expenses, they separate very nicely on this page. What we went on page 10, it's net statement, rent of net. If you multiply 8,000, one second,
I don't know how many
$8,625 they collect monthly without penny, multiplied by 12. We came across this 103,000 net rent. But if you put extra rent, if assume that first floor rented, we will apply extra $5,500 per month. It will be actual potential rent income for this property. Now we can apply vacancy loss. Would you agree?
No. Page 10, those are gross rents.
Okay. Thank you.
And
No
then you
further
can know that
questions.
they're gross.
Okay, that's fine, Mr. Rack. Thank you. All right, any other question, Ms. Shable?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Swerhen, any questions of the applicant?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Purvis?
I don't have any questions, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rack, the rule has two different income streams for taxable and exempt. We require you, what I need from you is an income worksheet, splitting those two values for the roll to be accurate. So I need your NOI for the main and upper floor.
Sure, so
Would
that
you
would
have-
be on page 6.
Page 6, okay?
So the net income is 61,680.
61,680, okay?
Yep.
And that's using, you're increasing the vacancy rate, okay? Expenses the same, shortfall the same, but the cap rate difference to 7.75%, right?
You're right about the vacancy's gone from 11 to 15%. The shortfall has gone from $10 down to $645.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. And the NOI capped, NOI of 61,680 is capped at 7.75%, equals a market value of rounded up to $796,000.
Yes, that would be it.
Okay, that's class code 60T. And for the exempt part, now, first of all, is that still qualifies for exemption? That basement is still rented to the
Yes,
same
it's good.
people?
Yes, it's rented to a church.
Okay, and we need the NOI on that one. I guess you've got that somewhere here, do you?
Yeah, that's on page 7. So on that calculation,
Okay.
the NOI would be 19,784.
19,784, capped at the same rate of 7.75%, equals a class
and
code
that'd be-
40 exempt value of $255,000 rounded.
Correct, and that'd be 15% vacancy and the shortfall at 645.
Okay, so your total value will be 255,000 class code 40 exempt plus $796,000. That would be class code 60 taxable for a total of, and I'm sorry, what would that be? 1,050,000.
1,051,000.
1,051,000 rounded on the next page, right? Okay, 7. Perfect, all
Page
right.
7.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got it all organized to match the roll. Okay. Ms. Shable, any comments required in summary?
No, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rack, any comments?
Well, do you want me to go through her brief now and make comments on the comparable properties and that, or are you guys good with that?
No, we're good with that.
Okay.
You addressed it in
Questions
your
that I had
brief.
on the other property.
Okay, yeah, and you addressed it in your brief. So any other comments required? Mr. Rack?
No, thanks.
Okay,
I'm good.
that concludes, excuse me, item number 4, file number 26-3170143 Smith Street. And I believe, Mr. Rack, you are complete, right? Thanks for appearing, and you'll hear from us with our decision as soon as possible, okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye. Now,
Bye-bye.
Ms. Rojo, we are gonna take a 10-minute break before we proceed with Fillmore Riley presentations on the remaining 4 properties on the docket. If you could put us in recess, please. Thank you, Ms. Rojo. I will now call the hearing back to order. Ms. Rojo, can you please swear in the applicant?
Yes. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name,
Mark Newman.
and you affirm the evidence you're about to present at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the docket is file number 26-4377, roll number 13096103400, we're dealing with a 2027 Realty Assessment Appeal. Address is 93 Lombard Avenue. No preliminary issues to deal with on this, I believe, Ms. Shable, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shable, when you are ready, please, 93 Lombard Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. File number 26-4377, roll number 130-961-03400. Address is 93 Lombard Avenue. We did assess 2027 assessed value for reference day April 1st, 2025. Our condition, market condition, and 5,494,000. The subject property office building located in Exchange District, downtown. It has 5-floor building, original built in 1906. We have effective years built 1965. Land area 19,469 square feet. Land area of improvements in basement area similar, 17,340 square feet. Gross floor area 18,680 square feet, and leasable area 59,777 square feet. On page number 2, we sent request for information for 2024 information years on April 8, 2000.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
so there's something happening here where I'm getting 2 streams of sound. So can I don't know why it's happening.
okay.
Mr.
Ms.
Newman,
Rojo?
sorry. Mr. Newman, do you still have your YouTube player open?
I think that might be the case. I gotta find it. Yes, that's the problem. It's me. Okay, I think we're good now.
Now, Mr. Newman, did you miss the beginning of the assessor's presentation?
Well, I know she was only, yeah, and I apologize. Let her just go over it very quickly.
Okay, Ms. Shable, can you start your summary from the beginning, please?
About property description, yeah?
Yes, please.
Property description. It's office building located in downtown, Exchange District. Original built in 1906. We have effective years built 1965. Summary of my property description on page number 1. It's 5-floor building. Has a land area 19,469 square feet. Plan area of improvements in basement similar 17,340 square feet. Gross floor area for all 5 floors 18,618 square feet, and leasable assessed area 59,777. On page number 2, request for information. We did receive in 2024 information. Our request was sent on April 8, 2025. Owner asked for extension and that was granted with due June 30th, 2025. And we received information on June 27, 2025. On same page, I have a city view with red dot at subject property in downtown. On page 2, 3, 4, air photo view and street view of the subject property with red dot on top. It's 5-floor building, office building, street view on page number 5 following. So on page number 6, I presented set of rent comparables. My comparables on Osborne Street, 226 Osborne Street, 219 Fort Street, 183 Kennedy, and 232 Main Street. Oldest building in my comparable 219 Fourth Street, 1-floor building, and 2 last comparables built in 1984, 1983. With the same like subject property. And youngest property 1985, it's 983 Kennedy Street. All my comparables has leasable start date 2020 to 2024 without reference date April 1st, 2025. So it's 4 years before. Square footage range from 240 square feet last comparables to 6,200 square feet comparables on Kennedy. So when we sum all this leasable area, we have 19,030 square feet and divide by rent generated by each comparables. We will come across the weighted average $15.49. My average $14.96 and median $14.90. On page number 7, actual market income estimation for the subject property. You can see they have several premises. In total, leasable area assessed 59,777 square feet, or average of this rent, overall rent $10.43. In potential rent for all building $623,437. For OFD building class D, it's we have vacancy, high vacancy, warrant 15%. We apply 3% expenses for not recoverable expenses. Shortfall $10 per square foot. That gives us net operating income on the bottom of page 442,291. Model generate 8.05% capitalization rate. That gives an estimate value of subject property $5,494,000. On page number 9, same summary of my income. On page number 10, capitalization rate for office building on top of this page, or top of this table, we can see downtown AA, downtown A, downtown B, downtown D, it's not presented. We try to follow in Colliers, CBRE, and Cushman Wakefield information. They don't post it class D, but all our downtown offices between 6.4 to 7.75%. Subject property generate 8.05. It's higher than 18th percentile. Colliers showed downtown office between 6.5 to 9%. CBRE showed downtown offices between 7 to 8.5%. Cushman and Wakefield showed that downtown offices between 5.25 to 9.5%. So our 0.05 inside everyone range, but outside our 80th percentile. On page 11, a photo of my comparables. On page 11, I have 226 Orban Street North. On page 13, 219 Ford, but it's wrong photo. It should be one floor building. Street view, it's wrong, sorry. I did mistake. On 14th page, 183 Kennedy Street, we have 2 floor building. On page 15, we have 230 and 232 Main Street, all historical building, 3 floor buildings. It's following by income expense information provided to us on page 16. We have different, we have in home, they show the leasable area 59,777%. What dollar as square footage, what we provided. You can come back if you have any question by income spells mailer. You can ask. I will happy to explain. On page 19, income expense 2020 some property assessment notice we sent. Following by application for revision with only assessed value under appeal. Based off an evidence in my brief, in my opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2025, 5,494,000, in that the 2027 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Does the applicant have any questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
The applicant does. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we jump ahead, please, to your page 7? Everything on page 7 is model generated, correct?
Correct.
And this building is classified as an OFD. And as you note on your first page, it was constructed in 1906, and it's been given an effective age of 1965. You also told us, if we jump to page 9, am I correct that the 15% vacancy is the model vacancy for all Class D buildings?
Correct.
And you told us that the capitalization rate was the model capitalization rate generated. And is it correct that 8.05% is the model generated capitalization rate for all Class D buildings?
No, for subject property.
Not all Class D buildings?
No.
Okay, then tell me why the subject property gets an 8.05 capitalization rate.
It's model generated. I don't have more information.
Well, but that's
provided.
what. Okay, so then let me just clarify. Is 8.05% the capitalization rate for all Class D buildings?
No, just site specific for subject property.
But it's model generated, I thought you said before.
Correct. But for capitalization rates, our model looking for location, size of building, quality of building, age of build. All is considered before model generate 8.05% capitalization rate.
Okay. In those items that you say the model considers, I didn't hear you mention vacancy. Is that correct?
Vacancy for Class D, 15%.
And that's because that's the model.
It's model generated.
Yes. Okay. So if you then look at your page 10, you commented earlier when you reviewed the chart for office buildings that there's no reporting for Class C or Class D, correct?
On this table, yes, but we have this information because our for capitalization rate, we estimate we analyzed all existing sales prior April 1st, 2025, and we divide this sale price by model generated capitalization net operating income. So our data crunch all sales and has specific for this type of building.
But when you say the sale price is divided by the model generated net operating income,
Correct.
that means you're also using a model vacancy, correct?
Correct.
Okay. let's jump ahead to page 17. That's the questionnaire. The vacancy reported is 44%, correct?
Correct.
Did you go back and look at prior questionnaires to see what the vacancy has been in prior years?
I didn't check this.
Do you think that would be a relevant consideration for a buyer in the open market?
That's why we have 15% for this type of building, usually much lower.
A Class D building, you're saying, is usually much lower?
No, usually much higher, like 15%. Rest of building low low vacancy.
So you did not go back and look at the history of the vacancy of this property, correct?
Correct.
All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Warhoon, any questions?
Just out of curiosity, Madam Assessor, you're using all your comparables are 2 to 3 story buildings.
Correct.
Your subject property is a 5-story building.
Yes, and subject property has elevator. This property has elevator, lease usually second, third floor, it's not huge difference. Main floor can be higher lease, rent rates.
And so your comparables do not have elevators.
I'm not sure, 1 second. No, but they provide typical space leased in this area, how much you can lease space for. I just look for broad market.
Okay, so you couldn't find anything with 5 stories.
No, I didn't find. I tried to look current leases as well.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions of the assessor. To the applicant, bear with us 1 second while we get to your brief, please. Mr. Newman, when you are ready, please.
I want to give you an overview of where I will go. I can tell you on this property, we do not challenge the rents. I can tell you we do challenge the vacancy, and we do challenge the capitalization rate.
Okay.
With respect to vacancy, I will take you to a very relevant and recent municipal board case that is important. With respect to capitalization rate, I will give you what I call a macro overview of economic factors that influence capitalization rates. I'll give it to you once. I won't repeat it for the rest of the hearings that come after this one. I will then give you some micro factors that are specific to buildings, and then I'll reach a conclusion. So let's go to page 2 of my brief with that by way of background. As we know, Class D building built in 1906, 15% vacancy is applied, as is an 8.05% capitalization rate. There are the actual vacancies for the last 3 years leading up to the value date. They average 42.66%. I will explain to you when we get to macroeconomic factors why, because of COVID and downsizing of offices, there has been a flight to quality in office buildings, in other words, higher categories, and it has become especially difficult to lease these poorer quality buildings. Page 3 is it's the assessment. Page 4, I list the issues. Let me move on. Rental rates. At page 4, I tell you without prejudice, we're prepared to accept the gross potential income. I then move to vacancy. 15% is too low. I must say the assessor's answers are confusing to me to some extent, But clearly she's indicating that 15% is the model vacancy. I think she's saying that for Class D buildings. They're not all the same, obviously. We have a history here where in early 2022, a 15,687 square foot tenant left the building. And that was known going back to 2021, and they started to market the space then. The present climate of downtown office buildings, especially the older ones, downsizing, remote work, the space has been exceedingly difficult to fill. Buildings that are of Class B and of Class A are frequently connected to either the overhead walkway system or the underground walkway system. Those are preferable to many people. This building is not connected to any type of system. So on to page 5, a buyer at April 1 of 25 would have been faced with the lingering impact of COVID, bringing with it continuing remote work and ongoing high vacancy in buildings. A building without connection to the walkway system, essentially an island without surrounding amenities, is what this building is. And a large number of opportunities to lease in other better located buildings connected to the walkway system with surrounding amenities makes it harder to lease these buildings. And to be clear, by surrounding amenities, I mean nearby restaurants, nearby shops, things for people to do at lunchtime, places for people to go to have lunch, things like that. This building is an island. So now I want to make reference to the decision of the Municipal Board, October 7, 2022, 75 Skirfield. That was a case where the owner came in indicating that the vacancy in the building had been, and these are quotes from the decision, had been over 50% for 3+ years. And the board said no prospective purchaser faced with this extended or the large vacancy over an extended period of time is going to pay full value. So the board then at page 8 of the decision and page 6 of my brief, they then recited the arguments that were made. The property doesn't exhibit normal or average vacancy rates. And there's the history of the vacancy in the building, 2011, 2012, 2013, leading up to the 2014 vacancy date, first quarter of 2014. Then there was reference to prior decisions where the board noted certificates of agreement accepting a 30% vacancy allowance, 2 municipal board orders allowing a 25% vacancy and a premium on the capitalization rate, 1 board order with a 30.96% vacancy and a 1% premium, and 2 board orders with a 35% vacancy. And the agent argued that because he was going to use 25% and not something much higher, there should be a premium attached to the capitalization rate. And that's exactly what happened on page 7. There was a 25 basis point premium added to the vacancy rate in this case. So I argue to you that the vacancy should be increased. I will show you the questionnaires before I'm done, but I argue to you that the vacancy should be increased to 25%, considering the chronic vacancy, but even more so, the economic conditions which face older buildings of this type as a consequence of COVID, downsizing, remote work, and all those factors. Okay, let's turn to capitalization rate. So what is it? And again, I'm going to do this once in a reasonable level of detail, but I won't repeat it in the subsequent hearings. It's the required return by an investor for the investor to purchase the property. It takes into account returns available on other types of property, including possibility of appreciation in value. The greater the risk, the higher the capitalization rate. And I say to you simply, an average 42% vacancy presents a huge risk to a buyer. Interest rates are important, and here's where I start to talk about macroeconomic factors. Interest rates are important. Interest rates certainly came up substantially. Bond rates are up as well. And you can see in the chart that's reflected there that the dollar volume and number of transactions went down substantially in 2023 and
Yes,
2020.
Mr. Newman, could I ask you
Yes.
what page you're referring to?
Oh, I'm
Please.
sorry. I'm on page 8.
Okay, thank you.
That chart. So the bar graph shows that the dollar volume and the number of transactions went down substantially. My apologies, Mr. Hutchings. I'll make sure I tell you what page I'm on.
Thank you.
So that's a macroeconomic factor. Tariffs and inflation. In Q1 of 25, our friend Mr. Trump starts to rumble about tariffs, and that creates uncertainty. That creates issues in the economy. Immigration, Government of Canada told us in October of 25 that immigration is going to get slowed down. I'm on page 9 now. Mortgage rates. A quote from Collier's Q1 interest rate outlook on page 9 of my brief. Interest rates continue to dominate the real estate landscape. Canadian real estate investment market remains subdued. Disconnect between buyers and sellers on pricing persists. 10-year mortgage rates still hover around 6%. 5-year rate has come down a little bit. Bond yield still remains high. And you see, I'm on to page 10 now, the chart that shows a comparison of the mortgage rate to Government of Canada bonds. Mortgage interest rates always come out of the bond market. And so this is showing you that relationship. Let's jump ahead, please, to page 11. These are charts that reflect the spread between bond rates and 10-year mortgage rates. And again, the point being that when that spread goes higher, it tells you that the market is not comfortable, the market is not confident. On to page 12. There's a heading in the lower half of the page, consumer confidence. And actually, the chart in the top half of the page, that's a chart that tells us investor interest, published by Altus Group, tells us that investor interest is declining in many classes, including downtown office buildings, and not surprising in light of the other things we're talking about. Lower half of page 12, Canadian Chamber of Commerce reporting on consumer confidence going down. Why? Inflation and the rise in interest rates. Then on to page 13, we have the tariff war coming, January to March of 2025. It makes consumers cautious. It's a bit of a restrictor, a choke on the economy. Page 14. Here's a reference to CBRE's market outlook with respect to vacancy and what they're talking about. And we have seen it in this city as well in every respect. When True North Square opened up in 2018, many tenants of 201 Portage, a Class A office building, moved into True North Square. That created significant vacancy in 201 Portage, and it's the kind of vacancy that allowed people in B-class buildings to get good deals and to trade up to better quality premises with reasonable rates, because that's what happens. The landlords need to fill these buildings. And what this article talks about, they talk about trading up in a flight to experience. And high quality offices continue to attract tenant interest. Lower quality assets are suffering. They're having a hard time attracting tenants. The quality of the surrounding amenities means it's more difficult to get tenants to move. So we see on page 15, Here is a Cushman and Wakefield Canadian cap rate report, and it's reflecting, and again, these are A and Bs only. These aren't D rates. The Winnipeg office market, bottom half of page 15, government employees slow to return to the workplace. I always mention that this hearing is a perfect example. We all used to troop down to 510 Main Street. Nobody comes anymore. We do these things virtually now, and it's because people prefer not to have to take themselves downtown if they don't have to. Then I'm going to, at page 16 and 17, mention that Ryan has published a study with respect to capitalization rates. One of the things they reference is office price listings and sales. And there's a listing of buildings, what they were listed for, compared between March of 25 and March of 23. And you can see that on all these buildings, the listing prices came down, a reflection of a poor market, a tough market, where the market is not attracted to these buildings. And these are lower class buildings. These are Cs. Certainly the group at the bottom 4 or 5 are all C class buildings. Also, we see, if we look at the chart that starts on the top of page 17, this is the one that compares the previous list price with the sale price, and it shows that these properties, the listing price compared to the sale price, they went down. Again, a reflection of a soft market and a lack of interest in the marketplace. And then Ryan also studied recent sales, and they noted onto page 18 now, some B class buildings on Main Street, which is 200 Main, on Broadway, which is 363 Broadway, on Stafford, another one on Main Street, which was 266 and 280 Main, and then finally on Portage, which was 220 Portage. And you can see that 220 Portage, attached to the underground walkway system, that's the Royal Bank building, the former Royal Bank building, was a 7.84% capitalization rate, but that brought with it a parkade. The D class building, which is the 266, 280 Main building, which is at the corner of Graham, southwest corner of Graham and Main, that brought an 11.5% capitalization rate, and this is a D class building. So again, we see that rates have come down. Here's a repetition on page 19 of the broker charts. I won't spend a lot of time in the context of this property. Ryan then in the lower half of 19 expresses conclusions about where the market is based on class of property. And they say that in Q1 of 2025, downtown D buildings are 9.5 to 11.5. And that's going to be site specific, of course. And then they talk on the next page about site specific factors. And there's a table. So for example, location, not attached to the walkway system, as is the subject. This is a large building. It's an older building. And it's got difficulties in leasing up. So some additional cap rate information on page 21. And you can see the vacancies segregated by different building types. And this is across Canada chart, to be clear. The Class BC buildings are coming in at 25%. And again, it's a reflection of the flight to quality. So let's get to the meat of it now. Page 22, 8.05% is too low. Remote work, world has changed forever. People don't come to the office. Hearings are done remotely. The broker reports again. And, let's be crystal clear. Colliers is reporting 7.5 to 9% for a B building. This is a D building with a 42% average vacancy over the last 3 years. If you look to page 23 at the bottom, there's a quote from an article in the Free Press about how challenging it's going to be to fill downtown office space because of COVID, because of the opening of True North Square, the migration of tenants from Portage and Maine, and it's just created a domino effect. So much so that buildings have started to convert to residential use. Page 24, 175 Carlton, 433 Main, 225 Vaughan was another one mentioned on the prior page. So, it's always good to talk about the generalities of parking, of buildings rather, but there's always a spectrum of where buildings will fall. And these are factors that will determine where buildings will fall in the spectrum of quality. And, it's a very nice building. People did work bringing this building back to life. But at the end of the day, it's a bit of an island, as I said earlier. It's got smaller local tenants as opposed to national and international. They go to the better quality buildings, which are readily available to them. So here's my conclusions to you. Page 25 and on to the next page. Office market has become more difficult. Ryan says that the capitalization rate for downtown Class B office buildings not connected to the walkway system is 8.34 and 8.23% respectively. The brokers say it's 7.5 to 9.5, subject because of its chronic vacancy and because it's not connected to the walkway is more difficult. Vacancies within these older buildings have become chronic and significant. The market is reacting to that by converting some buildings away from offices. Homelessness and safety in downtown Winnipeg are creating further issues. Downtown Winnipeg is a difficult area. Remote work continues to create challenges for occupancies. Finding new tenants for large areas of space is even more difficult. A purchaser looking at this property at April 1 of 25 would face significant and substantial risk, made more complicated by the high interest rate environment. We adjust the vacancy to 25%. We say to you that only partially addresses the risk. And remember that the board decisions referenced in the 75 Scurfield decision where rates of 30 and 35% were selected. The building doesn't have amenities in the area. And so ultimately on page 27, I select a capitalization rate of 8.75%. I accept the assessor's gross potential income. I move the vacancy to 25%, and the value becomes $3,817,000. Just a few of the attachments to look at. Page 28 and 29 are from the Collier's listing brochure. Page 30 is the questionnaire for 2024 showing the 44% vacancy. Page 35 is the questionnaire from 2023 showing the 47% vacancy. And page 40 is the questionnaire from 2022 showing the 37% vacancy. Subject to questions, those are my submissions.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Ms. Shable, any questions of the applicant's evidence presented?
Yes, please. Would you agree that when we developing direct capitalization income approach to value, a stabilized or normal income stream is estimated, correct?
You have to take into account the site-specific circumstances of the building. And so if you're going to stabilize to the normal of the building, that means you're going to stabilize to a very high vacancy because that has become the normal for the building.
So when vacancy allowance should reflect an investor expectation over the building period, say 10 years, Did you analyze 10 years period of vacancy?
I did not go back 10 years.
Would you agree that income approach 25% applied in our system for us? It's completely vacant space, vacant building, ready for renovation or redevelopment. Would you agree that it's over 25%? It doesn't make sense anymore income approach. We have to switch to land value only.
Well, maybe that's a good idea. Because considering what's going on in the building, but at the end of the day, the department's internal policies, which I understand historically have said you can never have a vacancy of more than 25%. The municipal board obviously does not agree with that based on the recitation in the 75 Scurfield decision I've provided.
Would you agree that, do you know if this property plan to redevelop for residential, like another property you mentioned?
I don't believe there are any plans to do that.
You posted some Colliers listing, but you don't show actual rent they asking for, correct?
Sorry.
You posted Colliers listing for lease, but
Yeah.
you didn't provide information what lease they ask for.
That's correct.
No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Wern, any questions of the applicant?
I do not, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis?
Sorry, I don't have any questions.
Thank you. And neither do I. Ms. Shable, any requirement for summary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newman?
I'm good as well. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes file number 26-4377, 93 Lombard Avenue. Next item on the docket is item number 6, file number 26-2216, roll number 12032443000, dealing with a 2027 Realty Assessment Appeal. And the address is 6 Roslyn Road, and I do believe, Ms. Shable, you have a request for non-cooperation penalty?
No, I don't, removed this penalty. I found income expense
Okay.
by mistake, yeah. It was
Yeah,
me.
okay, so request has been, would it be accurate to say verbally removed?
Yes, correct, completely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Shable, bear with us one second while we put up your brief, please. And when you're ready, please, 6 Roslyn Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. File number 26-2216, roll number 120-32443000, address 6 Roslyn Road. We have 4 owners. We did assess 2027 physical condition with reference day April 1st, 2023. 5 market condition and 1,753,000. The subject property office building, free floor building, original built in 1914, with effective years built 1975. The subject property located River Osborne neighborhood has land area of 10,229 square feet, plan area 2,568 square feet, basement area 3,099 square feet, gross floor area for 3 floors 10,803 square feet, and leasable area 9,411 square feet. The subject property, we have history in 2010. It was sale for 1 million. On page 3, 4, air photos and street view of subject property posted. It's a rectangle shape of property located in Osborne. What did I say? River Osborne neighborhood. So it's a street view building view on page number 5. On page number 6, I posted 5 comparables for the subject property. They built between 1945 2010. It's one in 3-floor building, 755 Portridge. Start date 2000. I posted different type of leases from 2008 to 2024. Just try to find something similar for the subject property. Area between 4,430 square feet to 35,200 square feet. If we sum all together, it gives us 74,203 square feet of my comparables. Divide all generated rent for this site, for these leases, give us weight average $20.39. So my comparable between $14.70 and $13. On page number 7, income expenses mailer, income approach, how we estimate subject property value. We have 9,411 square feet leasable area. All overall rent for this building, $14.65, give us potential rent $137,870. For this office building, suburban office building, warrant 6% vacancy loss, 3% not recoverable expenses, $10 per square foot for vacant space, give us net operating income $120,063. Model generated 6.85% capitalization rate. So our estimate value of subject property $1,753,000. On page number 8, same summary. On page 9, our capitalization rate table, followed by outside sources, Kohler, CBRE, Cushman. Subject property OFC building for suburban 8B between 5.2 and 7.05. So it's inside 60 percentile. On page 11, photo of air photo and street views of my comparables. My first comparables, 255 Sherbrooke, rectangle shape of land, has a 1-floor building. Another comparable on same page, 276 Colony Street, 1-floor building. On page 12, 315 McGee Street, it's 2-floor building. On page 13, it's 755 Portridge Street. We can see a 3-floor building facing Portridge. Same on same page 1401 Portridge Avenue, it's 1-floor building. Following by income expenses mailer provided to us. No, I didn't post it because I submit wrong. We have on page 19, no 20, 2027 property assessment notes we sent to the owner, following by appeal by the applicant with assessed value under appeal only. So based of evidence presented in my brief, my opinion, the subject property as reference the April 1st, 2025 is 1,753,000. That the 2027 assessment should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Newman, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, let's look at page 5 of your brief, please. These are photos of the property. Do you know that the property is a grade 3 historically designated property?
Correct.
And do you know what that means? Tell the board what that means.
It's historical building.
What does it mean in terms of what uses can be made of the property?
It's office building.
What, but yes, can it be modified? Can it be torn down? What does the designation mean?
Historical, it's not cannot be turned down.
Okay. And on page 6, you have your list of comparables.
Mhm.
They are all newer than the subject property, correct?
Correct.
You're comparable at 1401 Portage. That's a one-story building, correct?
Yes. 2, 1, and 3 floor buildings.
2, 1, and 3 floor buildings. Are
I was
any of these
looking, okay.
are
Sorry.
any of these comparables historically designated properties?
No, we don't, I didn't find outside suburban.
Okay. So then we have page 7, and this is entirely a model generated valuation, correct?
Correct.
Then you have your photos of your various buildings.
Mhm.
Some of them, so 255 Sherbrooke is a 2-story building. Do you know if it has an elevator?
I don't notice.
Okay. 315 McGee, do you know if it has an elevator?
I don't know.
Okay, but both 315 McGee and 255 Sherbrooke are only 2 stories, correct?
Correct, and I was looking for high leases over 10,000 square feet.
You were looking for leases over 10,000 square feet.
Because subject property 10,000 square feet. Only
But
last lease on Portage, less as 4.5.
But the lease on Portage, I'm going back to your page 6. That's 1401 Portage. Some people would say that's on the parking lot of Ray and Jerry's. That's an insurance broker. That's a brand new building built in 2010, correct?
Correct, that's why it's leased for $13.
Right,
And we assess less than $15 per square foot.
right. Page 13, 755 Portage. That does have an elevator, correct?
Correct. It's 3-floor building with elevator.
Okay, and then your questionnaire doesn't contain any information because at the time you believed a questionnaire had not been submitted, but you have
Yes,
since located it, correct?
correct. I found it was my mistake.
All right. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions of the assessor?
I do not have any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Warren, any questions of the assessor?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Rojo, could I ask, do we have a a point to take up when we get to it about a late rebuttal submission?
No, it's no longer an issue because it related to the penalty, which
Okay,
which has been withdrawn.
okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. And I have no questions then, and Mr. Newman,
Thank you.
when you are ready, please, 6 Roslyn Road.
All right. So if we go to page 2 of my brief, as we've discussed, approximately 9,400 square feet, originally built in 2014. It was built as a duplex for two families related to each other who shared the building. In the 50s, it's turned into a 20 unit apartment building. And in 1990, it's repurposed into an office building. No elevator. It's not 2-story, it's 3-story. And indeed, if you look at the pictures, you might even think in some places it might actually be 4-story. So obviously, a building that does not have the ability for barrier-free access for the disabled is a much more difficult building to lease. And indeed, if you look at the photos that have been presented of the building, you have to go up 4 or 5 stairs. And I can tell you, I've been in the building, and it's a little bit of a maze of smaller chopped up units with lots of stairs. Because remember, this was 2 houses at one point with a lot of up and down. So, and I'll show you the caveat relating to the historic designation shortly. So no elevators, no barrier-free access. That's going to create limitations upon the pool of tenants, I will suggest. 2 issues in this case, the rental rates, I'm on page 3, the rental rates and the capitalization rate. Then if we go to page 4, what I've done is I've looked to as close to the surrounding area as I could find, and I don't tell you it's perfect. 5 Donald is on the corner of Donald and Stradbrook. It's a modern office building. It's a 5-story building. I pointed out only that a building like this, of this quality, is getting $13 or $13.70 a square foot. Border is located some distance away. St. James. Let's leave it aside on Dawn. Let's focus on Stafford. Here you have a variety of leases done in the 2020, 2022 timeframes. The buildings on Corden, 611, 698. I am well familiar with these buildings. I have done their appeals for many, many years. Both 2-story buildings, both without elevator. And you can see the rents range, but they're kind of in the sort of, at the low end, $10, at the higher end, $13. 440 Dawn is just off Osborne, just south of Confusion Corner, and then 395 Stafford. So you can see a variety of these office rates in a broad range, in a $10 to $13.50 a square foot range. I would say to you that they are superior to the subject, each and every one of them, because of the number of floors in the subject, which means people are always climbing stairs. And yes, they don't have elevators. That's why I selected them, but they only have 1 flight of stairs to climb, unlike the subject, which has more. So I ultimately select a rate of $13.50 a square foot. I also attach the questionnaires for the property, which I'll come to at the end. But I tell you that ultimately, those questionnaires reveal a range of net operating incomes after any debt service and any depreciation is added back. The average of the 3 years, and I'm on page 5 now, my apologies. I'm on page 5 where those net operating incomes are listed. And so the average is 96,000 and change. That compares with the assessor's net operating income of $120,000. Capitalization rates, again, I'm not going to repeat in any level of detail what I did on the last property. It's the same core submission. It's about the risk. It's about interest rates. It's about tariffs. It's about immigration. It's about all those things. But then you have to turn to more about the subject property. If you go to page 22, so page 22, and it actually begins at the bottom of page 21. It's the Collier's Q1 2025 cap rate report. More importantly, it's how they define the various categories of buildings. A suburban Class B outside of the central business district offering average to good quality construction and amenities appealing to mid-sized tenants seeking peripheral locations and discounted rental rates. So there's no definition of C or D buildings, of course, that we get. And so if we then, I want to come back just a little bit because there are the Ryan sales, which I referenced earlier. And frankly, they are downtown office sales, except for the one on Stafford, which came in at a 6.78% capitalization rate. Now that's a two-story building built in with an effective age rather of 1976. So this building I would suggest is inferior to the subject building is inferior to the one on Stafford. Let me then jump ahead to page 29. So capitalization rate of 6.85%, I think that's too low. Older building, no amenities, clearly not a Class A or a Class B office building. It will bring a risk perspective. It will bring smaller tenants. Their covenants in relative terms will not be as strong. As the quality of the investment reduces, the capitalization rate has to go up to take into account risk. Here we have a building which is heritage designated, which creates further issues or future issues in terms of redevelopment. Somebody wanted to knock this building down, for example, and redevelop with something new. They can't because of the heritage designation. Multi-story building, no elevator access, creates issues to the upper floors and the property as a whole. That devalues the property. So ultimately, if you go to my page 30, I use a rental rate of $13.50. I select a 7.75% capitalization rate based on the configuration of the building, multi-story age, no elevator, heritage designation, and I conclude a value of $1,421,000. Just looking at a couple of the following pages, page 31, that's the historic site designation reference. I told you, though, I would show you a picture. You can see to get up to the landing, to get into the front door, you've got to climb stairs, which again creates an access issue. On page 32 and 33 is the caveat registered against the property, noting that it's a grade 3 designated building. And then what follows is the questionnaires. And what I have done is you can see on page 34, that's the 2025 questionnaire. What I have done is I've taken the net operating income, I've added back the mortgage interest, I've added back the depreciation. The net operating income becomes $95,664. Jump ahead to page 38. I've done the same thing. Net operating income, $36,893. I add back the amortization. I add back the mortgage interest. We get to $87,000. And page 42, same thing for 2022. $56,817 is the net operating income, middle column towards the bottom. I add back the depreciation or amortization. I add back the mortgage interest and I get $105,000. And as I told you earlier, the average is $96,000. Subject to questions, those are my submissions.
Thank you to the applicant. Ms. Shable, any questions of the applicant?
Thank you, no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions of the applicant?
I do not have any questions, thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Wern, any questions?
I do not, sir. Thank you.
And I have no questions either. Thank you. Ms. Shable, requirement for summary?
No, thank you.
And Mr. Newman, I actually do have one request. I'm sorry. Would you
Yes.
mind rounding up your request, your final valuation value?
Yes. So it's found on page, forgive me while I get to it. It's found on page 30 of my brief. It
Yeah,
uses a rent of $13.50, accepts
I'm just looking for the final value. Sorry.
$1
Your
million,
value.
yes, $1,422,000.
Perfect. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you. Any requirement for summary, Mr. Newman?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Okay, that concludes 6 Roslyn Road, file number 26-2216. Next item on the docket is item number 7, file number 262522, roll number 12097806435. 2027 Realty Appeal. Address is 1 Portage Avenue East, Unit 100. And we have no outstanding issues here. Ms. Shable, allow us to get to your brief, please. Ms.
And
Shable, when you're...
I'll mention to the panel, just for everybody's benefit and the assessor's benefit, the only thing an issue from my perspective is the capitalization rate.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shable, when you're ready, please.
So we assess 2027 assessments with reference day April 1st, 2025 at 1,321,000. The subject property office building, 1-floor office building, built in 1993, located at the Forks. We have plan area, gross floor area, leasable area, 5,466 square feet. We received income expenses mailer we sent in April 8 and we received in June 8, 2025. Subject property existing lease for 5,466 square feet at $14 per square foot. It's partisan outdoor advertising. It's provided to us through income expense mailer. On page 3, started air photo and street view. Subject property located at building on our baseball stadium. You can see on page number 5, street view. In office building. I have several comparables to support our rent. My comparable located in legislature, neighborhood, South Portage neighborhood, Exchange District, in Chinatown, everything located in downtown. My buildings area, my building, average years built, actual years built between 1883 to 1987. I have leases started in 2021 through 2024. Area, try to find area close to the subject property between 1,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet. Give us, if we sum all together, leasable area 15,651 square feet. and divide by or generated income from my comparables and give us $16.23. Actual assessment on page number 7, we did assess 5,466 square feet at $14.29. For this, for downtown AFC building, 11% vacancy warrant. We have 3% not recoverable expenses, $10 per square foot for vacant space. Give us net operating income, 61,418. Model generate capitalization rate 4.65%. Give us estimation of subject property 1,321,000. It's following by capitalization rate. My comparables, it's not under distribute. What I have more income expense Mellon provided for us, where I find existing lease. And appeal document, where only assessed value under appeal. Based on evidence in my briefs, the subject property on April 1st, 2025, 1,321,000, and that the 2027 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Excuse me. Mr. Newman, any questions of the assessor other than to your reference to dealing with the cap rate only?
Yes, I will address a couple of questions.
Thank you.
So your page 5, to be clear, the premises, they're not located inside the ballpark in the sense that they have a view of the playing field. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the property, if you look at page 7, is treated as an OFS, but you would agree with me that it's located in downtown Winnipeg.
Yes, it's correct in downtown Winnipeg.
And if you look at your page 9, your capitalization rate chart, I don't see 4.65% anywhere on that chart. Do you?
Correct.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Warhoon, any questions of the assessor?
None, thank you.
Mr. Purvis?
No, I think my question was asked and answered.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. Mr. Newman, bear with us, please. When you're ready, please, Mr. Newman.
Thank you. So page 2 of my brief, and as I say, capitalization rate is the only issue. I start by observing that surface parking lots, the assessor attempts to apply a capitalization rate of 4.5%, taking the view that they have little risk because there's no buildings upon them. That is frequently contested by owners of surface parking lot. But my point is simply that here's a property that is an office premises in downtown Winnipeg, with all that has befallen downtown Winnipeg, and an attempt is made to apply a rate of 4.65%. I'm not aware of any transactional information that supports a rate of 4.65%. If you look at the broker's information, if you look at the charts, there's no rate down at that level. The brokers will put their suburban rates for an A-class building at 6.25 to 7, They'll put their rates for a B class suburban building at 6.75 to 7.75. I take you to page 22 of the brief. Suburban Class B outside Central Business District. This one isn't, but leave that aside. Offering average to good quality construction and amenities, appealing to smaller mid-sized tenants. This building might qualify. It might meet that definition. In relative terms, it's newer because it was built when the ballpark was expanded. But even if it meets that definition, Colliers puts the rate at for a Class B suburban at actually, if you look at page 21, there's Cushman, Class B suburban 6.75 to 7.75. Colliers, Class B suburban 7.5 to 8.5. So ultimately, I just think 4.65% is too low for an office property in downtown Winnipeg. And I ultimately, if you go to page 25 of my brief, I select 7%. I do it because the brokers put Class B buildings, Colliers 7.5 at the low end, Cushman 8.5 at the low end. This is below the city's 20th percentile for suburban office. We can argue about whether it is a suburban office considering its location. At best, it's a Class B downtown office building. And as a Class B, it's going to attract rates in the range, depending on the broker, of 7.5% to 9%. I've selected 7%. Page 26 is actually a picture of the premises. And the assessor did say they're within the forks. And I suppose it's where you draw your boundaries. But I don't think William Stevenson Way and this location is considered within the forks. Perhaps I'm quibbling a little bit. The Forks has a certain cachet. I don't know that this location necessarily has that, but be that as it may, if you look at page 27, there's my calculation of value, which comes to $877,000 using a 7% cap. 4.65% too low. That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shabo, any questions of the applicant?
Thank you, no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis, any questions?
I do not have any questions. I do appreciate the photo that Mr. Newman provided because I was still puzzled where this office was located in the stadium until I saw that. And for over a decade, I just thought that was an advertisement. I just assumed it was I've gone in and out of that stadium many times, and now I know it's the sign for an entrance to an office. So thank you for that.
Right. You're welcome.
Ms. Warren, any questions?
I do not, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have no questions either. Ms. Shabo, any requirement for summary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newman?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes item number 7, file number 26-2522, pardon me. Last item on the docket today is item number 8, and we're looking at file number 26-2507, roll number 120933 20000. Dealing with a 2027 Realty Assessment Appeal. Address is 294 Portage Avenue. Ms. Shable, when you are ready, please.
We assess 2027 year assessment with economic condition April 1st, 2025 at 9,697,000. It has exemption, school tax exemption portion of 2 million. $701,000 and taxable portion $6,996,000. The subject property office building located in South Portridge neighborhood has nine-story office building. Original built in 1908. We put effective years built 1930. Land area 16,920 square feet. Land area 16,182 square feet. In basement area 17,311 square feet. Gross floor area 165,363 square feet. And leasable area 106,747 square feet. We received income expense mailer on April 23, 2025 for information 2024, and owner has extension request and granted by June 30, 2025. We have listing sale history for 2018 for $11,432,500. I like say a subject property located 161 South Portridge neighborhood. It's red dot on my map, city map. Following page 3-4 with street view, air photo view, street view, rectangle shape of land, 9-floor building. On page number 5, my rent comparables. I have several comparables on 259 Portridge Avenue, 570 Portridge Avenue, 428 Portridge Avenue for releases on this this building on 6th floor, 4th floor, and 2nd floor. 491 Portridge Avenue lease on 4th floor, and 1200 Portridge lease on 4th floor. My leases started between 2022 prior to 2024. Area of my leases between 931 square feet to 10,569 square feet. If you sum together all my areas, we give us all my comparables 29,160 square feet, and divide by generated income from each for each comparables, give us average weight and average rent at $11.68. So we have minimum from $7.41 to $31 per square foot, but average $13.63. On page number 5, started taxable portion of income approach estimation. On its we have to go to page 7. We showed a taxable portion of 73,405 square feet. We apply overall $11.31, give us potential rent $830,171. We did apply vacancy loss 13%, expenses 3%, shortfall $10 per square foot, give us net operating income of $605,155. Overall capitalization rate generated by model 8.65%. Give us estimate value of taxable portion $6,996,000. On page number 8, a school tax exemption portion, it's 33,341 square feet, estimate at $9, overall $9.84. Give us potential rent of $328,215. We did apply 13 vacancy, 3% not recoverable expenses, $10 per square foot for vacant space. Give us net operating income $233,636. Overall capitalization rate generated by model 8.65%. Give us estimate value of the exempt portion $2,701,000 on page number 9. All income summary together give us estimate value of whole property $9,697,000. On page 10, capitalization rate table, we already familiar with it. On page 12, I have photo of my comparables. My first comparable similar like subject property on Portridge, 259 Portridge, my lease on 11th floor. On page 13, 570 Portridge, my lease on 2nd floor. No, it's not, it's 1 floor building, sorry, it's 1 floor building. It's 2nd unit, 200 units. On same page, 428 Portridge Avenue. It's air photo, street view photo on page 14. 6th floor building. Another premise on 491 Portridge, 4th floor, street view on page 15. In my last comparables, 1200 Portridge, it's 3 floor building. Okay, on it's following on page 16, income expense information provided to us. Wrapping by on page 22, it's appeal information based only assessed value under appeal. Based off my evidence in my brief, the assessed value of pre-reference day April 1st, 2025 condition, $9,697,000. And with a portion of exemptions, $2,701,000. In taxable portion, $6,996,000. And that the 2027 assessment should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Newman, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, page 7. The capitalization rate is 8.65%. Is that model generated?
Correct.
And similarly, the vacancy of 13% is model generated?
Correct.
And you and I have had this property in appeal in the past. We had it in appeal for 2025, correct?
I not remember it.
Oh, I remember it. I'm
Good for you.
disappointed. I'm disappointed that you don't remember me. All right.
Sorry about it.
That's okay. I understand. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Warren, any questions of the assessor?
I do not, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purvis?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, Ms. Shable, the one that's sticking out for me, I think you skimmed over a sale that occurred in 2018. Have you got any details on that sale?
I don't know. I don't consider it yet. I don't know. 1 second. Maybe I have 1 second. Maybe in our notes.
It's for about
so-
11 million and sorry, I lost my page.
Okay, good.
$11,432,000 approximately, April 6, 2018. Any
I
information
will
on
check
that
right
sale
away.
at all?
It should be some information in our system.
I guess my question is, do you have any notes regarding whether it's arm's length or not?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Property sold.
Possibly Mr. Newman can enlighten us when we get to him,
Yeah.
but
Okay, 1 second. Excuse me.
I can help if it'll assist.
Yeah, please, if you,
yes, please, Mr. Newman.
It was arm's length.
It was arm's length. Okay,
It was.
okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Excuse me. Um, that's my only question. Mr. Newman, allow us to get to your brief, please.
now I found. Thank you.
Mr. Newman, when you're ready, 294 Portage Avenue.
Page 2. So, again, my memory's good. When this property came forward for the 2020 appeal, the assessor's position was it just sold at the reference date. It has a value of 11 million and change. And Mr. Hutchings, I ask you rhetorically, who do you think the chair of that panel was? It was you.
Okay, I remember the brief. Yeah.
And so this property has been interesting because Leo Letahowski, who was a very smart business person, one of the most regrettable decisions he ever made was buying this office building. So on by page 2, I show you the history of this property from an assessment perspective. You can see, notwithstanding the purchase price at April 1 of 18, which is the reference date for 2020, you can see what the settled value was at $8,594,000. You can see it was very similar in 2023. You can see in 2025 it came down, and Ms. Scheibel was the assessor on that property. All older office buildings in downtown Winnipeg are having a hard time. And I find it particularly interesting that this building, built in 1908, only has an effective age of 1930. It tells you something about the condition of the property and its quality. Homelessness is a problem. They have to have security in the lobby of the building continuously because people are wandering in off Portage. It's become a very, very difficult building to manage. And worse yet, the vacancy just continues to go up. So the vacancy's been over 20% for years. I'll show you that in due course. I could make an argument that the assessor's rents are too high, but ultimately I don't. I accept the assessor's gross potential income. What I do on page 3 and on page 4 is I break down the components of the assessment, a photo at the top of page 3, and then a breakdown in bullet points onto page 4. I tell you the issues are rental rate, vacancy, and capitalization rate. And even though I've told you the issue is rental rate, that one of them is, I attach the questionnaires going back to 2019. And one of the things I point out on page 5 is if you look at all the income statements for the building and add back depreciation and add back mortgage interest, there you see what the net operating incomes are in the building year over year. And the assessor, in her brief, has used a combined net operating income for the two components of this of $838,000. And you can see that in all the years commencing in 2018, this building has never achieved that kind of net operating income. Why? Well, the answer is simple. It's not what the gross potential income is, it's what the vacancy is. That's the real problem in this building. And it got worse at the end of 2023. Some of you might remember that for many, many years, on the ground floor, right on the corner, was a business called Dollar Tree. They had a big green sign that said Dollar Tree on it. They departed the premises at the end of 2023 because, like many other merchants in downtown Winnipeg, they could no longer be remaining and operating on Portage Avenue. If you look at page 6, I point out that in the income statement for 2024, there's a miscellaneous income entry of $296,000. That's Dollar Tree buying themselves out of their lease. The lease had a couple years to run. They bought themselves out. They didn't want to be there anymore. Easier and simpler for them to just depart. And so, of course, that increases the vacancy even further. So, again, the assessor and I have done this building before. If you look at the top of page 7, there is the historic vacancy for the property. You can see going back to 2018, it's been 20%, a low 20% range, jumps up in 2023, jumps up in 2024 again, contributed to undoubtedly and without question by the departure of Dollar Tree. So I come back to the 75 Scurfield case I told you about when we did our first property, 93 Lombard, the October 2022 decision of the board, where the board says that when the property's got a long-standing chronic vacancy, you can't ignore it. No buyer's going to ignore it. And at the top of page 8 of my brief, you see the quote, "No prospective purchaser presented with a large vacancy over this extended period of time would pay full value." They try to lease this property continuously. Colliers has it under a listing arrangement for lease, and it just hasn't worked. And it hasn't worked for a number of reasons, not the least of which is when all that space opens up in 201 Portage, when all those tenants, Thompson Dorfman, Myers Norris Penny, when everybody moves to True North Square, it's the beginning of the dominoes. And all the lower quality buildings now face greater risk. Tenants can move into better buildings. They can pay reasonable rent because of vacancy. So landlords are anxious to do deals with them. So on page 9, you see again the quote from 75 Scurfield, the certificates of agreement, thus at 30%, the board orders at 25%, the board order at 30.96%, and 2 board orders at 35%. So the board has recognized continuously, and it recognizes in this case, you can't ignore, because no buyer will ignore, and that's really the key. You can't ignore what's going on in the building because it impacts the net operating income. It's the level of risk. And regrettably, what buyer wants to buy a 1908 building with a 1930 effective age, with vacancy at 20+% for 6 of the last 8 years, and then at 30+%, and then at 40+%? Who wants to buy it? With all the issues there are along Portage Avenue, regrettably. So capitalization rate, again, I'm not going to repeat all the macro factors I talked about earlier. There are some sales that Ryan has detailed in a report they did, the building on Main. I'm at page 22 of my brief now. So here are 5 buildings, 4 in downtown Winnipeg. As we've discussed, number 5 is 220 Portage Avenue, the Royal Bank Building at 7.84%. I assure you it doesn't have a 30 to 40% vacancy. 363 Broadway, where the municipal board is located, an 8.23% capitalization rate. It's got an underground parkade. A building is more valuable for having that. So those are some rates. And really what you're in the position of doing is having to adjust the rate to take into account the unique circumstances of this property, the site-specific circumstances where a building has been in considerable difficulty for many years, is likely to continue in difficulty for a long time. So let's go to page 31 of my brief. Here I summarize my conclusions. So the Ryan study and the 2 buildings I mentioned, 363 Broadway, and the 8.23 and the 8.34% capitalization rate for buildings on Main Street and Broadway. 1977, 2000 don't have chronic vacancy and don't have an effective age of 1930 like the subject. The broker rates, they don't publish rates for Class C buildings, but Colliers gave downtown B buildings a range of 7.5 to 9%, Cushman 8.5 to 9.5%, CBRE 7.5 to 8.5%. None of them are Cs. None of them have in excess of 20% vacancy, and now in excess of 40%. None of them have an effective age of 1930. For all these reasons, including if we go on to 32, homelessness and safety, and the opening of the True North Square and the flight to quality, the domino effect, as I called it earlier, and I ultimately select a 9.25% capitalization rate. So turning then to my value conclusion, and let me show it to you in the chart form. It's easier to follow. If you go to page 34, that's the fully taxable. It uses the assessor's rent, gross potential income, selects a vacancy of 27.5%, assessor shortfall, assessor non-recoverable, and capitalizes at 9.25% to generate a value of $4,127,000 for the taxable. And then on page 35, the value of the school tax exempt, again using assessor's rent, 27.5% vacancy, 9.25% capitalization rate, and value becomes $2,494,000. Combined value, $6,621,000. Just a couple of things in terms of my attachments. If you look at page 36, that's taken from the Colliers brochure, you can see that in the windows of the main floor, there are essentially canard window coverings. Because what they did is when Dollar Tree moved out, and if you turn to page 38, you can see the Dollar Tree signage, and you can see the clear windows when Dollar Tree was still there. When Dollar Tree left, Canad put up these window coverings with Canad logos on them to get a little bit of advertising out of the windows on the building. Starting at page 39 is the 75 Scurfield decision in its entirety. I'll only take you to one little item at page 51. I told you earlier about a premium to the capitalization rate to take into account vacancy. Here's a case where the board agreed that they're going to add a premium to the capitalization rate, and they added 25 basis points. What follows are all of the rent rolls and financial statements and everything else relating to the property. These have been presented before with this assessor on the 2025 cycle, except they're now updated with the 2023 and 2024 statements. So really, this case, I think, is about quality of the building, its difficult circumstances, increasing the vacancy, and increasing the capitalization rate. Subject to questions, those are my submissions.
Thank you. Ms. Shable, any questions of the applicant?
Yes, please. Let's open page 34 of estimation.
Yes.
Would you agree that income approach it's really artificial estimation of market value?
It's really I wasn't, did you say artificial estimation?
Yes, because it's a artificial estimation of market value, yeah.
Well, I don't know what you mean by artificial, so I'm not sure how to answer that question.
It's okay. You want 27.5% vacancy lost. Would you agree that vacancy over 25%, like completely vacant, empty building, doesn't make sense for income approach anymore?
Obviously, the municipal board in a large number of cases has considered it appropriate when they've selected rates over 25%. So I think the answer remains yes. Somebody will buy this at the right rate. It's just a question of what that value is. And this is the methodology that the assessment department and many, many others have used for decades to value buildings of this type.
Did you estimate cost approach? How much you estimate over 4 million? What is rent per square foot? Your estimation, did you estimate somewhere? Just to make sure we're on the right path for.
I'm sorry, did I estimate a cost approach?
Yes, because
no.
Yeah. By cost. How did you estimate, for example, you have 4 million, and did you see how much per square foot will be the cost of this building?
The cost approach?
Another buildings?
I did not do a cost approach.
You want $4,127,057. If we divide by gross floor area of this building, and 165,368. So you estimate your value of $25 per square foot of this building. You mentioned Ryan or Colliers. Let's open page 21. So we estimate your value $25 per square foot. Be with me. On page 21.
Wait. Where are you getting $25?
When I divide your estimate value, assessed value, estimate value of subject property, divide by gross floor area of whole building, it gives us $25 per square foot.
Just bear with me 1 second. So you're taking 6,621,000?
4 million, your estimation.
So if I take
your estimate value of subject property.
So if I take 4,127,057 and I divide it by 73,360.
No, gross floor area. 165,368 square foot.
But then you're ignoring the 2,494,000 associated with the balance of it.
Which balance? We just roughly see VM right part. We take your over 4 million and divide by gross floor area. It gives us $25 per square foot for building. Your
Well,
estimation.
but again, why are you using 4 million? Why aren't you including the
Be
2
with me.
million?
Okay. Open page 21 of your
Page.
brief.
Okay.
You provide information for similarity comparing 2025 listing to actual subsequent sale price indicated softening in the office sector. So property 225 WAC has a price per square foot around $69 per square foot. 465, $19 per square foot. Portrait 1111 Portrait, $128 per square foot. 605 Notre Dame, $86.64 per square foot. Main Pioneer, it's $48 per square foot. And 220 Portrait, $123.19. And you estimate only $25 per square foot subject property, correct?
Can I respond now, please?
Yes, please.
So first of all, the value is $6,621,000. Let's start with that.
You
What
are
you're
now
doing,
4 million. We're talking about your estimate value only.
yes, six
How it's
million,
reasonable?
$6,621,000.
4
start with
million
that.
you're asking
No,
for.
4 million is for the taxable portion. There's
Oh,
another,
sorry. Well,
right?
missed something.
Ms. Shable, there are two income streams being presented.
Okay, you have separate. Okay, sorry about it.
So the total that we're
see.
dealing with that you're referring to should be $6,621,000
You don't have
divided by the
summary,
total
all
square.
summary together. You keep it separate, yeah?
Yeah, yes,
Well,
you
that's
have
what
to,
the board needs.
yes.
So the other response I'll give you, looking at page 21, is 225 Vaughan, a building I used to do historically, was taken out of use as an office building and converted to residential. 1111 Portage is a suburban office building. 333, 191 Main Pioneer, those are the buildings at the corner of Main and Pioneer. 220 Portage, as we've discussed, is the Royal Bank building. And both of them came with either surface parking or a parking lot as well. And they don't have a 30 to 40% vacancy. So you're comparing, your comparisons, I don't think are accurate with respect.
So I estimate altogether it's over $14 per square foot subject property, what you estimate of. And
I'm
doesn't
not-
support this page on page 21, correct?
I'm not understanding your question. I'm sorry.
Okay, I divide two streams together over 6 million by square footage. It's
Yeah.
only $14 per square foot.
$14?
40.
40. Okay. Yes. But that's based on your gross floor area, not your
Correct.
leasable area.
We don't look about when we
Yes.
use the price divide by gross
Yes.
floor area.
Yes,
When
but
we
then you're
look for cost approach.
but
Just
then you're trying
make very reasonable.
but then
Okay,
you're trying to compare them to these other buildings about which you don't know anything about their vacancy.
It's
Ms.
part of
Shable,
your
could I,
evidence. We don't talk about vacancy. We just talk about really cost approach.
okay,
Just to make sure because.
Ms.
Sorry, I
Shable,
don't have
may-
questions.
Ms. Shable, what exactly is your question? You're saying that it's undervalued compared to market sales per square foot?
Yes.
Is that your question?
Provided
or-
on page
that- okay.
21.
Okay, thank you.
It's part of
Okay.
evidence.
Mr.
Okay. My response is a simple one. I understand the concept she's expressing. The problem is these sale prices do not take into account a 40% vacancy like the subject.
When cost approach, we don't look about vacancy. We look building and divide by gross floor area. Done.
This
Okay.
isn't a cost approach. This is a price per square
But
foot
it's
based on
it's
the
part
sale
of-
price.
It's
Okay,
part of
I-
assessment. We can make income approach or cost approach. You
Oh,
already
okay.
income approach over 27% vacancy. It doesn't make sense anymore. You
Okay, Miss
using
Shable,
like sex-
Miss
okay, sorry.
Shable, you've made your point, Mr. The applicant has replied to it. Anything else you'd like to ask?
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, thank you for that. All right. Mr. Purvis, any questions?
I don't have any questions at this point.
Okay. Ms. Verhoon, any questions?
None, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think I have any either. Ms. Shable, requirement for summary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newman, any requirement for summary?
I just want to make one comment
Okay,
about the issue of the purchase price in 2018. However, and I told you earlier, that was arm's length. Whatever motivated Leo Ledahowski to buy the property, time has since shown that that was a bad business decision. The property has gotten worse, not better over time. Downtown Winnipeg has got worse, not better. I'll conclude with that, and thank you everyone for your time this afternoon.
okay, thank you. Thank you to both parties for appearing. We have heard all the items scheduled on the docket today, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you. You'll hear
Good
from us
afternoon.
as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Have a